All right, welcome everybody. Welcome stream. Okay, so you guys made it out today. We got a special guest in the building. We're gonna have the lead attorney come on in just a little bit to give us information about marriage. All right, to give us information about divorces, family law in general, child custody. We're gonna ask him a wide range of questions that you guys had sent to me. And so for anybody who wanted to send in some questions, you guys can always do it via donations. But if you guys answered the Instagram post or on YouTube, then some of those questions were used for today's live. Hopefully everything's good. Sound. If you guys are having issues with sound, let me know. Just leave it in the chat, and then that way I'll know to make those adjustments. It's good to see you guys. I like doing these live streams. I don't do them too often, but people really wanted this. So yeah, if you're wondering where Preach is, unfortunately Preach is busy. Like I told you guys, he's got a life. He's got a wife. He's got things he wants to go do. He's got a lot of work over the weekend, so I always support him. Yes, sorry for being late. Normally, you guys know how I am about punctuality. I think it's super important. But unfortunately, had a little bit of an accident, so I had to go handle some stuff. Now, if you guys want to know what happened, you guys can put a bunch of ones in the chat, but I am warning you, if you ask for it, don't get upset when I tell you guys the answer, okay? All right, so y'all just let me know. You guys put them ones in the chat if you really want to know, but needless to say, I had a very good reason. I think everyone's going to understand. Take your timing seriously, guys. People's time matters, so don't play with that. Other than that, just a couple rules. Be respectful in the chat. I'm going to put some people up as moderators to kind of moderate things. But yeah, just be respectful. Disagree. Have some strong opinions. But just know that if you are going to be disrespectful, we'll keep muting you and make sure you don't get a chance to speak. All right, you guys really want to know. Okay. This is the problem with the internet. I'm sure you guys have had this before. You guys have ever wanted to fart, and then it turns out you shart yourself. That's what ended up happening. All right, being completely transparent with you guys. It's my first time it's ever happened to me in my life, but I knew it happened when it happened, and so I went to go take care of myself. Because even though I look dirty, you best believe I stay clean. Now, with that information out of the way, now that I've decided to confess to the choir, to the congregation, instead of the confessional booth, we have the lead attorney who's going to be coming in today to share some of the dark secrets regarding family law and the information that you guys want. All right. So, lead attorney, welcome to the stream. My people have been excited to have you in today.
Man, thank you so much for having me, Alba. I really appreciate it. You know, to get even just slightly recognized by a YouTuber on your level is it's really amazing. A lot of guys probably don't know me, but I have a YouTube channel which I just hit 1,000 subscribers back in January. And so you guys have been the goats for years, and to be on your platform today, I'm telling you, it's a huge milestone. I know for you, it's just another day, but to have a small YouTube channel and start it up and go through all the growing pains and the beefs, you know, I'm everywhere now because I'm in this thing with a YouTuber, and so to be on your platform, having just 1,000 subscribers in January, it's hard for me to express my gratitude. So thank you so much, and thank you to all of my. I see a lot of my folks here in the chat too. I can't really respond to all you guys, but I see you, and I really appreciate you guys coming out.
Hey man, listen, it's not even a thing. At the end of the day, I think you bring something interesting to the platform. People love folks with expertise, irrespective of subscriber count. If people are interesting, people want to hear from them. I don't judge who I want to collaborate with based off how many subscribers they got. I'm like, hey, is this an interesting person who I think would have something to offer me and my audience? And if that's the case, then we'll definitely try to seek out opportunities to potentially work together if it makes sense for both parties. So for me, it's not even a thing. I wasn't even considering, the subscriber count. But congratulations on the growth. I'm glad that it's working out for you. That's good. And, it's an indication of the work that you put into your life. What was that?
No, I was just saying it's kind of working out. You know, I found myself in a couple of days ago, I found myself embroiled in a little YouTube beef, and this is about the third or fourth one that I've had. But this one's pretty bad.
I would tell you don't get too worried about it. These things come and go. At the end of the day, as long as you just focus on your content and you try to do things correctly, then all these things, it's just like waves, you know what I mean? It comes in waves. Subscribers come in waves, and then they stop, and then they come back. But all that you have to make sure is that what you can control, you try to keep constant. So yeah, you're
No,
doing
I
good.
appreciate that. Yeah,
You're doing
and
good.
then I thank you for hooking me up with Preach too. Preach is coming on, I think, my channel on Monday, guys, and we're going
Yes.
to talk specifically about this. We're going to talk about YouTube and the journey that you guys have made from 0 to over 1 million subscribers. I've started helping small YouTubers like myself to kind of get their channel going, and so to have him on my channel as well to talk about YouTube is absolutely humongous. It's very rare to get an opportunity to talk to someone on y'all's level. So I really appreciate the time that you guys are giving me.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. Appreciate that. So if you want to just give the audience who don't know you a little bit of a background so they know what level of expertise you have in the field of family law, by all means, please give yourself a little bit of a background.
Absolutely. I am from Atlanta, Georgia. I am a family law attorney here in Atlanta. Been practicing for about 20 years. And I started a YouTube channel last year when everything was going on. All the courts were closed. And because I've been practicing for so long, I have some information that a lot of people, specifically men, to be honest, can use. And I started my channel to help men avoid some of the common traps that would land them really in destruction in the family law court system. I know it's 2021 and we want everything to be fair and equitable, but the truth is it's not. The truth is that it is balanced against the men in so many ways. And so I started making videos to talk to the men about the small things that they could do that would give them really great results in family law, at least to try to level the playing field.
Okay.
And so that's how I started in the madness that was going on last year. Now my channel's kind of evolved a little bit.
Yes, I see you be
Yeah.
covering a wide range of topics at the moment.
That's exactly right. When I was just talking about child support and alimony, nobody was listening, right?
Yeah.
But when I start talking about the lessons, when I start using public figures and some of the mistakes that they make, and highlight those mistakes and relate them to the law,
Yes.
then people listen and people learn. And I've
See,
gotten a huge
look at you learning the
response
tricks
out
of the
them.
trade.
Oh yeah.
All right,
Yeah,
I see
had
you.
to
I see
learn.
you
I'm-
dropping a little bit of YouTube knowledge on people.
Listen, it was a tough going. It took me many months, 8,
Okay.
9 months for it to kind of sink in. I was actually this close to quitting YouTube. Then
See?
yeah. I
See,
was
see,
super
people who are
close.
watching at home, sometimes going a little bit further and making adjustments is all it really takes. You'd be really surprised. But I actually want to
Absolutely.
get to the first question of the day. I thought it'd be cool to kind of jump right in. But this is a topic that I think is super interesting because when I say these things work, people don't believe me, but I know you got a little bit more knowledge. So when it comes to prenups, there is a general idea that they are useless, that they don't work because once you create a prenup within the confines of a marriage, a judge will inevitably throw it out. And I would like for you to tell the audience, do prenups work? And if they don't, why is it that they don't work?
Yeah, so such a great question, specifically because so many people, not only in the manosphere, but especially in the red pill community, really believe that prenups do not work. And it's super frustrating to me as an attorney to see this type of advice floating around, particularly because it's one of the best things that you can do if you are thinking about getting married. When you hear that people do not, or these prenups don't work, you need to look at two things. Number one, look to see who's telling you this. Is it an attorney or is it a non-attorney? All prenups are, guys, a prenup basically is just a contract, right? Who deals with contracts? Attorneys, right? It would be different if, that's less like me trying to talk about a carburetor or something like that when I'm not a mechanic. I don't really know what I'm talking about. So that's the first thing. You really want to know where you're getting your information from. And if you're talking about legal instruments, if you're talking about contracts, it's better to hear it from an attorney. But there is one other thing that you should kind of listen for when you hear that someone says prenups don't work. You really just got to ask one question. You just got to ask why, right? They'll say, oh, well, this person's prenup got thrown out, or the judge threw out, let's say, Steven Spielberg's prenup, and he had to pay millions. Well, if you just ask, okay, the prenup got thrown out. Why did his prenup get thrown out? Well, number one, he wrote it himself. So you already know, is he an attorney? Is he an attorney? No, he's a director, right? But he wrote a legal contract himself. And number two, he wrote it on the back of a napkin. All right. These
Wait, is that true?
Yes.
This man was just at dinner. He got done and realized he didn't want to give his wife everything and wrote it on a napkin.
He was like, listen, I'll just write it right here for you. All right. On a napkin. Let's just do it really quick. And of course it gets thrown out. Guys, listen, judges, they want your prenups to work, but they will absolutely throw it out if you give them a reason. Having said that, there are 4 basic tenets that you need, just 4. And if you follow these tenets, if you put these 4 elements together, you will absolutely have a prenup that will stand up. So what is the first element? And I've kind of already alluded to it. You need an attorney to draft your prenup. Do not try to draft your own prenup, guys. And you guys do it. You guys want to save the $2,000. You want to save the $3,000. And then in your divorce 8 years later, you lose hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Well, you
right?
you pay what you get for it. You know, sometimes people like to cheap out on mechanics and then get surprised when they're on a road trip down by the side of the road and their carburetor busts out. It's like, well, you paid what you got. You know what I mean?
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. Do not cheap out on a prenup. They're not even that expensive. They are way less expensive than a divorce. All right. And if you really want to go the gold standard, if you really want your prenup to work, not only should you have a prenup, but your fiance or an attorney, but your fiance should have her own attorney. Listen, guys, a lot of you guys, you don't want to pay the $3,000 for your attorney, and you don't want to pay $1,500 so that she can get an attorney just to review the prenup. Why do you need that? Let me tell you, and this happens, guys, and you've heard it. You've heard about scenarios like this. Let's say I'm getting engaged and I have a prenup, and I ask my fiance to sign it. Let's say her name is, I don't know, Lauren.
Serena.
Right?
Oh, Lauren?
So,
a lot of people are going to know what that's about, but go ahead.
So I'm getting married to Lauren, and I give Lauren this prenup, a 20-page legal contract. And yeah, she signs it and it's all good, right? But let's say I become this big YouTuber and I'm making all this money, and, you know, successful men, we got options apparently, right? So I start exercising some of my options, and she doesn't like that, so she divorces me. And she's like, lead attorney, I want half of your stuff. And I'm like, you can't get half because you signed a prenup. What is she gonna say? She's gonna say, well, number one, it was a legal contract and I'm not an attorney. Number two, I couldn't understand it, right? Number three, there was some tricky language in it. Number four, you are an attorney yourself and you got one of your friends to draw it up, and I didn't have an attorney. It was completely unfair to me. And a judge can throw that out. Right. Now, some judges will say, listen, you know, it's 2021 now. You're intelligent, Lauren. You should be able to read. But some judges will say, listen, the balance of power was too great on one side.
Well, one can say there's a conflict of interest as well, because of the fact that the lawyer is being paid by one party. It's hard to believe that they would build a deal that would be favorable to the other. I think even when co-defendants have the same lawyer and yet they're now cutting deals that may put the other one in jeopardy, there now comes a time where I think a second lawyer is absolutely necessary to make sure everyone's interests are protected.
Absolutely. You are absolutely right. And this
Hey, man, I'm a high school dropout, but I watch Law and Order. I watch Law and Order. Okay.
A high school dropout. Like, you've been in the 9th grade like for three times, right? Listen.
Oh, I made it to the 11th grade. Don't shit on me that much. But yeah, I get what you're saying.
No, that was actually an inside joke to the beef that I'm in now.
Okay.
We get deep right here around it. But listen,
I'm mad at it.
If Lauren has her own attorney who sits there and negotiates the prenup with my attorney and reads Lauren every single page, reads Lauren every single paragraph, every single clause, then she can't make any of those arguments to say that she didn't understand it or it wasn't in her interest, right? So that's the first thing, guys. Get 2 attorneys. What's the second thing that you need to do? A lot of you guys, let me be honest. We're going to be honest on this on this stream. A lot of you men are scared of your women. You are absolutely terrified that she's going to leave you. So what do? You go to your attorney You get your attorney to draft a prenup, but you don't give it to her, right? You just sit on it. And then the day of the wedding, when you're standing there at the altar, you know, her parents are there, your parents have flew in, all of her bridesmaids are there with the hair, the makeup, the dresses, and the shoes. Everybody's booked the hotel. You got the food, the caterer, all the flowers. Then at the altar, when the little 6-year-old is running down the aisle with the rings, here you come, hey, Lauren, sign this right quick. And she lifts her veil up. She's like, what the hell is this? Oh, it's a 30-page prenup. And she says, well, I haven't read it, right? You got it drafted, but I haven't read it. My parents are here. You're going to embarrass me in front of all of my friends. I don't have a choice but to sign it. And you say, well, yeah, you better sign it, because if you don't sign it, then the wedding's off. Well, now she's backed up into a corner. The judge will say, listen, you constructed the conditions to have her sign this under duress. She didn't want to sign it, but all of her family and her friends have paid all this money. You guys have paid all this money. She was going to experience public humiliation. And so I'm going to throw it out. So what do you need to do? Guys, talk to your fiance about the day of prenup and give it to her 6 months before the wedding. I can draft at least, absolutely, is the gold standard. Now, if you're going to get married in 5 months, is it too late? No, but I'm just telling you, the closer you get to the wedding, that's exactly right, the more it can get thrown out, the more probability it is. I can draft a grade A excellent prenup, and you can ruin it. You can ruin my work by giving it to her 3 days before the wedding.
Okay.
And I've seen you do it. That's not my fault. And that's not the prenup's fault. If your prenup gets thrown out, it's not because prenups don't work. It's because you yourself did not present the prenup in a timely manner, right? So that's the second thing. The third thing, there are only 4 things, guys. This is the third thing. In prenuptial agreements, you need to list out generally what your assets are. And this is where you guys get sneaky, right? You don't want to list the Bitcoin. You don't want to list the property that you've got in another country. You don't want to list that other bank account. You try to hide your assets. If you hide your assets and it comes out that you did not fully disclose your assets in the prenup.
Void.
Yes, absolutely.
Because they signed under the idea that these were the assets that were going to be split. And then to find out there's way more afterwards, there's lies that kind of undermine the entirety of the contract. Is that correct?
Absolutely. Lauren's going to be like, lead attorney, you didn't tell me about this side business that you had. You didn't tell me about this this crypto, this Bitcoin, this Ethereum, all this Ethereum that you've got over here. And I was like, well, you know, if we get divorced, I don't want you to take my crypto, right? And then that's exactly what ends up happening because I didn't disclose it, right? So what's the first thing? Get 2 attorneys, at least 1, but get 2. Number 2, you need to give it time. Absolutely. Number 3, be clear and disclose all of your information, your financial information. What's the 4th thing? This is where it kind of gets a little soft. And of course, none of this is legal advice, guys. I'm just telling you how to draft a prenup here in the United States, right? Every state is a little different, but if you do these 4 things, you're going to be protected. The 4th thing, guys, is that you got to be a little bit fair. All right. You got to be a little bit fair. It can't be that you'll say, okay, well, we can be married for 25 years, but if I decide to divorce you after 25 years, you get to leave with $17. A lot of judges are going to be like, listen, this is punitive. This is not, you are not dealing with your wife in a fair manner. You are trying to punish her.
Yeah, one could argue that if someone's only going to give someone $17 after 25 years, they deserve to lose half and more.
That's exactly right. And
come on, you stayed with her for 25 years. If you only given her $17, or if you write it on a napkin, you deserve to lose everything.
Yes.
Yes, a napkin.
Yes. Let's just say, I mean, guys, you guys do anything to penny pinch to not be fair, right? You guys will write your own prenup and you'll say, okay, Lauren, you have to wear, I don't know, a nose ring every single day of every single day that we're married. And if I catch you without that damn nose ring, I get to divorce you and you get nothing. a judge is going to say this doesn't make any sense, right? What a lot of you guys will do, you guys will put in your prenup that she can't weigh over 170 pounds. Or you'll put in there that if she divorces you, you get full custody of the kids and she has to pay you all this child support. You cannot put kids in a prenup. Kids are not they're not things. They don't have a title. It's not like passing title from a car or to a house. A judge is always going to make determinations regarding, who gets custody, who gets visitation. And if you're a man, you already know how that goes. About child support, some of you guys will say, okay, well, if we get divorced, then you can have the kids, but I don't have to pay any child support. The judge is going to throw it out.
Yeah.
So guys, this is what you kind of need. You just need to be kind of more or less fair.
Yes.
Right? More or less fair. Disclose all of your assets. Get 2 attorneys to draft your prenup so that everything in there is kosher, and then present it to her at least 6 months before the wedding. Your prenup will work.
Yeah.
Period. Do not listen to the people in the red pill community that are saying that prenups do not work. Can you ruin a prenup? Yes, you can ruin anything, but they absolutely do work if you do them correctly.
Yeah. Yeah. Some of the richest and most powerful people set these up, and they're ironclad because they have the right lawyers do it and there's no nonsense. So the idea that it wouldn't work, when I hear people say that, I'm like, just because you heard a random story about this individual and that individual, if you don't know the circumstances, then for you to say it doesn't work, it doesn't make any sense. So I never believed in that whole notion that prenups don't work. But I think you said something that was interesting through it. You gave an example of a man who got with a woman. They got together, then afterwards blew up on YouTube, had an affair, and then broke off with her. And I think this is not necessarily so much a legal question as it is a personal opinion on your behalf. But I want to ask, if you make most of your wealth after you've been married to this woman, should she not be entitled to a solid portion of it, considering the fact that she's been there from the ground up? And what is your personal take on that?
I think absolutely. Absolutely, guys. And this goes back to you men being scared of your women, right? If you do not want her to get half, she doesn't have to get half. She doesn't have to get a quarter. She doesn't have to get 25%. She doesn't have to get anything. Just don't marry her. So many of you men are forced into this marriage by ultimatums, this, ish or get off the pot. And you are agreeing to give her half with no prenup. If you agree to something, guys, and then, 7 years later, it doesn't work out because of you or because of her or because of any circumstances, you agreed 7 years ago to give this lady half. But now you're like, oh, well, she wasn't in the gym shooting with me. Oh, she wasn't staying up, working late nights at my business. Oh, she wasn't there picking all the crypto, right? But that's not what you agreed to 7 years ago. What you agreed to 7 years ago was in sickness and in health and all this and all that. And when you decided not to get a prenup, you actually decided to give her half. Guys, if you get a prenup, you don't have to give her half. You can just, listen, prenups can be listen, let me tell you something about prenups. They can be so flexible. You guys can say this. Let's say you have $1 million, right? You can say, if we get married and we get divorced within 5 years, then even though I've got $1 million, you only get 50,000. Right? You only get 50,000. Now, if we make it past 5 years and we go 5 to 10, then you can get 100,000. And if we go 10 to 15,
could you protect your wealth that you had before you guys got married?
Absolutely. You can say,
"Oh, you preaching now."
Listen,
Go.
Anything that I had before we got married is mine.
Yes.
Not only anything that I had. Let's say I have a business and it spits out, it throws off $100,000 a year. Not only is my business that throws off $100,000 a year mine, but I can take that 100,000, invest it in a property that then rises in value, and the rise in that value is also mine. That property is also mine. Guys, prenups are so powerful.
Yes, I like that. I like that a lot. That's good information. I think I bring this up because oftentimes you hear people say, if I'm divorcing her, I'm not giving her a penny or I don't want to. But I think there has to be some measure of understanding of unseen labor, in the sense that, when you are married to somebody, maybe they don't contribute as much financially, but maybe there's a lot of stuff on the back end that maybe doesn't have a monetary value that should still be recognized. And I think when you are married to somebody and you make your wealth after you've met them, there should be some consideration for the work that they put into the partnership itself. And I think all too times the dialogue is too extreme. Some dudes want to be like, I want to get married, but then I don't want to give her a dime if she divorces me or whatever. It's like, you can't look at it as such a binary. So I think it's great that you could tell me now that people can protect the wealth that they've made before, because then I think it makes prenups make a lot more sense for a lot of people.
Absolutely. And let me tell you this, I don't necessarily agree with, even though I think we agree in the same result that a lot of times women should get half. I don't agree with your rationale necessarily that women should. You didn't really say it like this. You said it kind of soft, but I hear this argument, and in fact, I had a woman on my stream.
Hold on, which argument? Just to make sure I understand.
Yeah, it was your argument that there's unpaid labor that needs to be taken into consideration or compensated for. Right. And I don't agree with that. Now, do both parties contribute? Hopefully. But my whole thing is, what was your agreement? If you can reach an agreement where you're doing all of this labor and none of it gets compensated, then I'm going to respect you as an adult and say, this is what you agreed to. Having said that, if you get married with no prenup, you are basically agreeing to give this lady half no matter what she contributes. Right. Because here's what I see. I see a lot of people give up in a marriage. Okay. Right? And they will go hard for 3 years. Let's take a woman. Shout out to the women, man. You'll take a woman. She will get married. No kids. She will get married. She'll have a kid in the first year, a kid in the third year. So she's got 2 kids, and then she shuts it down. Divorce attorneys, we see all the time what we call dead bedroom situations. A dead bedroom is where there is nothing going on sexually. And you guys don't know this, but there are millions of men living in their marriages, and they have not had sex in years. In years, I'm telling you. So many of these men, they're sleeping.
Well, how do you know this? How does this come out? Tell me how you find out.
I've been doing divorces for 20 years. People come to me and they tell me.
Okay, yes, there you go. That's what we want to hear about. Let's get the juice. Hold on, let me get a little drink in. Okay.
I have people crying, men crying, not only in my office, which is uncomfortable, but when it's really bad is when it's on the witness stand. And he's having to explain what he contributed and what she contributed, what he felt like her fault was in the divorce, and having him tear up and talk about all of the overtime that he did, all of the flying here and there, trying to get all these commissions, trying to get all these bonuses, making sure that the mortgage was paid, the private school for the 2 kids was paid, everything was paid, never missed a payment, but he hasn't had sex with his wife in 4 years, while at the same time flying around and having opportunities to cheat. But he does not cheat because he holds the vows of this marriage sacred, right? All men know that it is a thing to turn down some tail, right? If you turn down some tail because you're married, you should be recognized for that. Women are not going to see it that way, but it's against our nature to really start turning stuff down left and right. Women are not going to give you credit for that, but that's how we feel. And if you were doing all of this flying around, all of this turning down tail, all of this being a workhorse, and then your wife turns around and cheats on you and files for divorce, and you haven't had any sex from her in 4 years, let's say you've gone 4 years as a grown man without having sex, you're going to feel a certain way about it. Sure. And it's going to come out in my office, and you better believe it's coming out on the witness stand because you want to tell everybody your truth. Now, and I know.
Can I ask? Because I think you said something interesting. What have you seen come out on the witness stand that marked you? If there's any one specific man that you might remember kind of vaguely.
Gosh, I'll tell you this. This is a story that actually marked me, and this is not on the witness stand. This happened. This happened last year here in town, and 2 of my attorney's friends are involved in the case, which is still ongoing. All right, so guys, we were talking about a dead bedroom situation where there's no sex, right? We're going to talk about the opposite for a second. we're going to talk about a couple who is in their late 50s, early 60s. And so it's like grandma and grandpa, and they have an adult son. And they're not they're not from this country. They've got their papers and everything's in order, but they were immigrants, and their adult child was here, but he didn't have his paperwork all secure. He committed some crimes and he got deported to a very violent country, all right, where there's no rule of law. So the mother, who is, let's say she's 58, she was very, very distraught about this. Now, he's an adult, so he's down there and he's kind of fighting for his life because he's kind of been here all of his life, even though he wasn't born here. So he doesn't know the ways of that country. But, he's trying to make his way, and the mother is distraught about it. Having said that, life goes on. And so, a particular morning, this 58-year-old mom, grandma really, and this 60-year-old, they're kind of doing their thing, right? And so the husband is on the bed, and the mom, shout out to the wife. Listen, they've been married for like 40 years, and she's doing her thing, almost 60 years old. Now, shout out to them. When you've been married like 40 years, you got to keep it spicy, right? So he is tied up. He is tied up to the bed. And, they're just doing their thing. Shout out to them. And then, some tears start rolling down her eyes while she's doing her thing. She reaches down and she pulls out a knife. Now, the guy's eyes are like, what's going on? Right? And he's tied up, remember? And she just starts slashing. Blood everywhere. She not only though is she slashing him, she's slashing herself. She's bleeding. You guys should see the pictures of the damn bed. Just the bed, whatever. She jumps up, he's screaming. She jumps up and runs to the closet. She gets a belt, loops the belt around her neck, and puts the belt over the rod and starts to hang herself. He is trying to get loose, gets one hand out, takes the other hand, sits up, jumps out the bed. Guess what happens? His intestines fall out. So he's got, with one hand, he's holding in his intestines, runs to the closet with the other arm, reaches around and tries to pull her up off of the damn rod, right? There are some people in the part of the house below. They hear all the screaming. He gets her off of the rod. They call the ambulance. Everybody comes, ambulance, police. They both get rushed into emergency surgery that lasts for hours for both of them. Both of them survive. Here's the thing that marked me, because we talk about love and unconditional love. Can you imagine being the man who was in that situation, being slashed, sitting up, jumping off the bed, holding in your own intestines, and loving a woman so much, the person who did this to you, that you actually saved her life, right? The case, so they had two separate cases going on. There's a immigration side, and then there's, of course, the criminal side. But that marked me because divorce attorneys have seen a lot of hatred. But you're gonna think that I'm weird by saying this, but it really is the greatest love story that you're ever gonna hear. Because I don't care about Romeo or Juliet. Show me a stronger demonstration of love. Now, some of you guys are gonna say that's not love, lead attorney, that's just sickness, right? And maybe you're right, because when love gets too strong, it can start to be confusing. But if a woman did that to me, would I be trying to raise her up and save her life so that she doesn't hang herself? Um, Probably not. I can't imagine loving someone, not loving some woman that you met, on Bumble. You met her on Tinder. But again, that's not a fair comparison because these people have been married for 40 years. For 40 years.
Yeah. Well, I imagine if you got adrenaline pumping inside of you and all these things, you're probably not even thinking about the pain because you hear intestines falling out. You're like, I'd be so worried. But people who get stabbed, for example, don't even know they've been stabbed until maybe 30, 40 seconds later. So it's hard to imagine how you'd react in those kind of circumstances. But that's a crazy story that I didn't expect that turn. That one came out of left field. The whole chat was like, huh? What just happened?
People and it's so weird in the manosphere, especially in the Red Pill community, because people talk about whether you should get married or whether you should not get married. There's no reason to get married. You should only get married because of the kids. But they don't see all of the permutations of what relationships look like. Mm-hmm. And really, after 2 or 3 years, you don't start seeing them. But if you're an attorney for 5 years, for 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, you see a whole swath of how people interact with each other. Mm-hmm. And that's when you really start to get a sense of kind of what humanity is, right? And so my perspective on relationship is completely different than the average person, who's, you might have had 3 or 4 significant relationships, or even if you slept with 100 women or 200 women, your experience. And maybe your friend's experience, the guy at the gym's experience, but I've seen thousands of cases. Yes. And so I'm looking at a whole panoramic view. Okay. And so, yeah, there's craziness that goes on between couples. Absolutely.
I want to ask you as a lawyer, what makes you say I want to study law so I can watch 2 vampires suck the life force out of each other through their bank accounts? Like, what makes you say I want to do these divorces and make so much money off of it?
Yeah. See, this is what you guys hear when people go to law school. You guys hear, people say, oh, well, I want to go to law school because I want to help people and this and that. Or, my mom was in an accident when I was 6 and I knew I wanted to fight for justice and 6 years old. And that's probably about 3 to 5% of what the attorneys will tell you. Now, if you read the law school applications, 100% say, oh, I want to help people. I want to help my community. But guys, it's really not true. All right. It's really not true. The way that I wound up in law school is the way that a lot of people, and there are different stories, but I wound up in law school, not to make a long story too long, but it's just because I couldn't do math. I couldn't do math. I started out as a business major. When I graduated high school, went to college, started out as a business major, and they told me I had to take calculus. So I was like, okay, I'll take calculus. And then they were like, wait, well, there's a problem. You didn't take calculus in high school, so you got to take pre-cal. I said, fine, give me pre-cal. I took pre-cal. I worked on that freshman pre-cal class harder than any class in my entire collegiate stay. And I got a D, but I was happy because I passed, so give me the calculus. They said, no, you got a D, you need to get a C, so you have to retake it.
No, you wasn't doing that.
Yeah, I'm not doing that at all.
So, yeah, you might have failed at math, but now as a lawyer, you can definitely count money.
Well, that's true. That's what they say. And even all lawyers know this. We're bad at math. Even Michelle Obama, she said it. She's an attorney. It's a joke that the only math that attorneys can do is calculate 33%, because that's our percentage in a lot of these cases. And listen, we can do it. Listen, I can calculate 33% of anything, right? But so I changed my major to English because English didn't have any math, got good grades, skated all the way through. Well, the joke's on me, because when I get to my advisor the senior year, she's all, okay, well, do you know what high school you want to teach? Like, what the hell are you talking about? Well, you got an English degree. You can't do anything with that. Oh, now you tell me. Right now, I was getting all these good grades. I wasn't studying. Everything was going great. I can't get a job. And she was like, well, you can get your PhD in English and then teach college English. I was like, I ain't teaching nothing. She was like, well, you can go work at Macy's or you can go to law school or something. I was like, okay, law school. Give me the law school. I don't want to go work at Macy's, but I will take the law school. And so that's how I wound up in law school. Then when I graduated law school, I practiced what's called a door law, right? A lot of people say, oh, well, what was your specialty in law school? Guys, there's no specialty in law school. Every law school student takes pretty much the same classes and you graduate with the same degree. So there's not like, oh, I'm going to specialize in being a criminal lawyer. I'm going to specialize in being a civil lawyer or a corporate lawyer, immigration lawyer. Everyone graduates with the exact same degree. And then you go out and you figure out what you're best at. So when I graduated, I started practicing pretty much door law, which is anything that walks through the door because you need money.
Yeah.
So anything that walks through the door, you take it. Is it a criminal case? Yes. Did somebody's dog bite somebody? Yes. A landlord tenant dispute? Yes. Is it a divorce? Yes. Give me that. Is it, did somebody die and now there's a probate fight? Everybody's fighting over Big Mama's house? Yes. I'll jump in that fight. And then from there, you start seeing what you are naturally good at. And it turned out that I was naturally good at doing divorces.
Yeah.
And
when two people are miserable and hate each other and want to take everything, that's when you come out and you shine.
That's where I come in. But I will flip it though. And I will tell you that I love divorcing people. I absolutely love
This is how everyone pictures lawyers. Just, I love divorcing people. Yeah, just go at each other's neck for as long as possible.
Listen, the longer it goes, you do make more money. But I will tell you this, guys.
Hey, go give him a little blazer flick. Just let him know.
Hot right there, right? Listen, I'm going to turn it around now. I'm going to turn it around. Listen, guys.
All right.
I see so many of you men suffering. Here's the thing about men. Men have this ideal of loyalty. They have this, not all men, but so many of you. You have this idea of loyalty. You'll have this ideal of obligation, of duty, and you will stay in a relationship for years where you are suffering. Now, this is a particular type of relationship, right? Where you can't just get out of, you just can't say, get out of my house. No, you're married. What I get to do on a daily basis is take you fuckers out of that suffering. I get to take you out of that misery and put you back on the market where you can find somebody who hopefully will make your ass happy. Right? That's how I view it. Now, when I pull you out that thing, it's going to hurt. You're going to give up some equity in the house. You're going to give up some equity in the stocks. That bank account is going to be hit. Your children are going to get taken away from you. You're going to get stuck with this visitation BS with your own children. But at the end of the day, if you can weather the emotional trauma of me snatching you out of that for like 6 months, a year, and get back on your feet, you are going to be happier as a man. So
I want to ask you a really interesting question. Following up on this, have there ever been times where you were going to divorce somebody and you looked at the couple and you guys said to yourself, do you know what? These people should actually stick it out and try to figure this thing out. Has that ever happened to you?
Not like that, but there are cases. I remember the very first case that I had like that. This younger couple comes in, maybe 28, 29. And when they come in, the receptionist seats them and they go into the conference room and I'm already there. And the guy takes his hand and, they walk into both parties, the husband and the wife, they show up to the consult together. And when they walk in the door, the husband puts his hand on the wife's shoulder, they're side to side, and pushes her. And, she stumbles and I'm like, oh, I'm thinking they're going to fight. And she starts laughing and he laughs. And then she goes and pushes him. And it's like, they're friends. They kind of like play fighting and they're laughing. And I'm trying to figure out but because then when they started laughing, I'm thinking, okay, this is the new girlfriend. Because a lot of times the new girlfriends come. A lot of times it's the new girlfriends who are paying for the divorces to start, right? The new girlfriends are kind of pushing the men to actually get a divorce. Men will sit in a bad marriage for years if you let them. Right. Women don't do that so much. Women stay in bad relationships, but it's out of necessity. It's out of need. It's out of dependence. Men stay in bad relationships out of this obligation. right? Or it's like, it's not worth it, or, you know, maybe I'll hire an attorney next month. And so a lot of times the girlfriends are like, no, you know what? You've been married 3 years. We're getting a divorce today. Put your shoes on, get your keys. I'm taking you to an attorney. He's going to draft the paperwork. We're going to get a divorce. And so I was thinking, well, maybe this isn't the husband and wife. Maybe this is the husband and the new girlfriend. No, it was a husband and wife, young couple. And they just came to the conclusion that they were good friends. They loved each other, but they were not in love with each other. And they both wanted each other to be happy. Now, what you also learn as a divorce attorney is that you can never tell what is going on in somebody's kitchen, in somebody's living room, and you can see the perfect couple, and 10 years later you find out that they were beating on each other, and they were starving the kids, and you never know someone's outward appearance. So no divorce attorney after 1 year of practice is going to tell you, no, I think you guys should stay together, because you really don't know.
Okay.
But we are absolutely surprised at how people can really like each other and decide, listen, we like each other, but for us it's not enough. We deserve a little bit more. We can still be friends, maybe, if our new people will allow it, right? But we deserve a little bit more in terms of what life can give us. Okay. So yeah, there are and then sometimes, of course, you got to have the police restraints to keep them apart. They're fighting each other so much. But a lot of times people will say, listen, let's just do this amicably. A lot of people, you guys might not notice, a lot of people get divorced. They don't even hire attorneys. Yeah. Just like Steven Spielberg with that napkin, they'll sit down and just, okay, what do you want? What do I want? And take it to court, and the judge are like, what is this? And
you never hear about those stories though. You never, because they're not messy. People love their little bit of drama. Trust me, I know. I made a lot of money off drama. So, can you just give me a quick little short list of like what kind of law you've practiced so far? I know you've said door law and family law, but just give me like a short list. If you can name like 5, 6.
Civil law. So, talking about workers' comp, talking about car accidents, when companies sue other companies, when companies sue individuals. Okay. Of course, all types of domestic law, which is divorce, child custody, all that stuff, alimony, immigration. I stopped doing immigration maybe about 3 or 4 years ago, because that turned really crazy. Right. And it's super complicated. And criminal law. Okay.
So how do you feel about Sharia law?
I know nothing about Sharia law at all. No, nothing at all.
You've never even heard of it?
I've heard of the phrase Sharia law, but when you will never hear that inside of a courtroom. Okay. Especially down here in Georgia. Yeah, they might start searching you if you start talking about Sharia law. Like, hold up, let's search this man again.
So it's basically like a set of laws that places value on women's agency first and foremost, and make sure that all things in marriage and divorce, women are given the most rights. So it's basically like marriage laws in the West, except for Arab women.
Interesting. Yeah. No, I have never. It's not a thing, especially down here in Georgia. We don't do Sharia law down here in Georgia.
Y'all should try it, man. Sharia law's not so bad. Me personally, being from a foreign country, I'm a big fan.
How would you compare it to regular Western law? Is it more beneficial to women?
It's a lot more simple. They get straight to the point. So to all my Arab folks, shout out for Sharia law. Just wanted to say that real quick.
What do they do with the kids, with custody of the kids in Sharia law?
Women's women's desires and wants are definitely taken into consideration.
Well, that sounds like Western law.
Yeah. Except it's just Arabs. But they have their own name for it. So that's why I thought you might be familiar with it.
No. It's all. Now, I did do a lot of. I don't really see this anymore, but back in the day, I was doing a lot of divorces when Indians would come in, not Native Americans, but the Indians. And what surprised me was that so many of their marriages were arranged. And so you don't really of course, you don't really see that here in America. But
yeah, Indians are not going to be coming you for divorces. They don't divorce. They either marry it or die, So
listen, you see a lot less. The percentages of Indians that get divorced are a lot less. But you don't know, is it because arranged marriages are better? Do they work better? Or is there because of community?
Here's something you said that's super interesting that I think plays right into it. You said, remember those two people that came in that they were best friends, but they just didn't love each other? Mm-hmm. yeah, like these people don't give a shit about love. You know, when they get married, families are joining together. It's about lineage. It's about legacy. So their first concern is just making sure that's maintained and passed down. So their ideas going into a marriage have nothing to do with like personal happiness or anything per se. It's more so about let's make this work by any means necessary because our families have made this commitment and we take this very seriously. Now, of course, there's also the aspect of divorce is really frowned upon in that community. So as a result, you could be excommunicated or much, much worse. But there is also the other element of like values are very different when looking at why you get married and why you stay married. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. In 2021, it is completely individualistic. YOLO. You only live once. My happiness matters. And I don't care about the community. I'm not going to get shamed anymore. You know, it used to be in the 90s. If you got divorced, it was a little bit,
Yeah.
2021, everybody's divorced.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. It's a good thing you're not involved in Sharia law because as a divorce attorney, you wouldn't get much work. They handle everything pretty equitably. Yeah. Definitely look it up after the stream.
I will. Yeah. Divorce law here is booming. And in fact, one of our best years was last year. You guys know all the stuff that was going on last year. Well, it used to be that at least the husband would leave for 8 hours, 10 hours and come back, or the woman too. Everybody leaves. Everybody gets to mingle with their work husbands and their work wives. Everybody gets to, you know, have fun with their friends. And then they come home at night and kind of tussle with each other and battle it out. No, with the stuff that was going on, everybody was trapped inside. And I mean, so many divorces came out of that because you guys can't, you don't even like your spouses anymore.
Does it? Okay. Well, I think you kind of spoke on it. You kind of shared your perspective, so I actually don't need to cover that. I want to jump to another question for you.
Yeah.
When, should a cheating spouse get 50-50 custody of a child?
Should a cheating spouse get 50-50 custody of a child? Yes.
Yeah. So let's say a man gets married to a woman, they have a few kids, and he cheats on her. It kind of shows a huge level of irresponsibility on his part, right? And a lack of moral character if he cheats. So should he be the father?
No, I totally disagree with that. Absolutely. And guys, listen, I have been doing this for 2 decades, and I see an absolute need for reform. One of the things that needs to be reformed immediately, and it's going there. It's going there slowly. Maybe in 15 years, this won't be the case. But, 2021, a judge walks into the courtroom. He sees, one person over here, he sees one person over here, and he's got 2 kids. He's like, okay, I need to put these kids with somebody. Where's the woman? Oh, there's the woman. There's the kids. It's kind of how it goes. Now, do all women get custody of the kids? No. But probably about, 8 out of 10 get custody. So what it needs to be a default, not in every case, you're not gonna be able to do 50-50 custody, but it needs to be a default 50-50 custody perspective. Irrespective of if you sleep with somebody. Guys, I know listen, guys cheat for many reasons, all right? But I know for an absolute fact that a lot of women cut it off. They will do what you want. Shout out to the women. They will do what you want when you're dating. They will do what you want when you're engaged. They will even do what you want before the first kid. Some of the women are soldiers and will do what you want after the second kid. For some reason, and I'm telling you guys this, I'm not making it up. It's something about that damn second kid where it kind of gets turned off. Right. And now in every case, no, there are women with 7 kids. So what's that mean? She ain't cutting it off, right? Fine. I'm just telling you what I see. I have seen so many men who have not had sex for years. If women, it's your body, your choice. You do not have to have sex with any man. What I'm telling you is, if you want your man to go the next 20 years of his life without having sex, that's a big ask. And I don't know if he's going to do it for you, to be honest. Right. But what is that called? It's called cheating. Right. If your wife stops having sex with you, so you start having sex with somebody else, now you're cheating. Now, should you lose your kids behind that? Hell no.
I've seen some social workers say they thought so.
Yes. Yes, I got into a big argument where I had to apologize to a social worker who showed up. Bless her heart, she wasn't, you know. And listen, if you are cheating with a woman and your 3-year-old is actually in the room, right? That's bad. Your 3-year-old should not be in the room while you are doing your thing. All right. And some of you guys are roguish. Some of you guys will allow that to happen. But that is different. That's exposing a child to something that a child should not see. That is independent of you having extramarital relationships. What judges will tell you, and you asked it from the man's perspective, which is good, but what you see it is you see it the flip side. What I get all the time, guys, I get men coming to my office with like, oh, looky here, Mr. Attorney. I have proof that my wife is cheating. So now I want custody of the kids. Now I get custody of the kids. How it works. What do judges say? Judges say, listen, I know where you're coming from. I know you're hot. I know you're angry that your wife is for these streets. But this woman is really two people in one. The woman you see, the woman that you are married to is two people. The woman is your wife, but she's also a mother. And these two qualities are independent. Just because you are a bad wife, she's a bad wife, she's sleeping with a neighbor, fine. But that does not mean she's a bad mother necessarily. So because she's not a bad mother, I'm going to give her the kids, but I'll allow you to see them every other weekend. How does that sound? You're like, it's messed up, right? So if it applies to the mother, it should absolutely apply to the father. If a father is cheating, you should absolutely say, hey, listen, this man is composed of two people. One is a husband, one is a father. And just because he's a bad husband, which I'm really not even sure, guys, to be honest. If your wife hasn't had sex with you in 4 years and then you go sleep with somebody because you're about to lose your mind. Now, you did say, for better or for worse. Here's the thing, though, guys, and this is what I want you guys to know. And this is, a lot of women will say, listen, lead attorney, I hear what you're saying. And the wife hasn't had sex with him in 4 years. Fine, fair enough. But why doesn't he just divorce her then? Why doesn't he do things the right way? Why doesn't he divorce her and then sleep with everybody that he wants to? What's wrong with that? Here is the problem with that. The problem is a lot of these men, they got to the second kid and then the faucet got turned off. What does that mean? They got two kids. So the husband is used to being with his kids every single day of the month, putting those kids to bed, going out on the weekends and playing soccer with them, playing catch, just watching Netflix with them, watching TV with them, cooking for them, taking them out to Chili's. Those are his damn kids. But if the wife stops sleeping with him and he goes and sleeps with someone else, if he says, well, I don't want to break those marriage vows, I want to get divorced, he can do that. But now he doesn't see his kids every day. He doesn't even see his kids half of the time. He gets to see his kids every other weekend. Maybe there's a Wednesday dinner. Maybe there's a Wednesday overnight. But do you see what's happening? Men in this country are having to choose when their wife says, I'm not having sex with you anymore. They're having to choose between having sex with other people to get their biological needs met or their kids. Right? It's such an unjust system where a man has to decide between having sex, like him being happy, and living with his kids 30 days out of a month. Right? This is what you guys don't see, but because I've been doing this so long, I see the dynamics of how things are going, and things are so unfair. So when women say, oh, this man is cheating, or, because he's cheating, like the social worker, right? Because he's cheating, he should lose custody of his kids. You have no idea why he's cheating. Let me tell you guys this, talking about something that touched me. Pause. There was a marriage. And the guy came to see me. And the guy's like, listen, I got 4 kids, but my wife was in an accident and she is, she's alive. And the accident happened 3 years ago, but she cannot move. In fact, she can't talk. the only thing that she can do pretty much is blink. She can blink. So we got 4 kids. Now, her sister has come over from California, and her sister lives with us now. And when I go and work, her sister takes care of these kids, and her sister takes care of her when I'm gone, because I have to pay all these bills, right? 4 kids, it's a lot. You know, he was a humble man. He only made, let's say, like 60 grand. And some of you are going to say, oh, lead attorney, 60 grand is higher than the majority and than the median income, which is 45. Fine. 60 grand doesn't go far where you're talking about 7 people. The 4 kids, him, the wife, and the sister. It doesn't go far. But here's the thing. Because this accident happened 3 years ago, he hasn't had sex in 3 years. And he's like, listen, lead attorney, I'm gonna be honest with you. I haven't had sex in 3 years, and you know, I'm dying. I'm dying. And I want to do things the right way. I do not want to cheat on her. She was in a 1-car accident. So, you know, it's not like she got any money for it or anything like that. And he was like, I don't know what else to do. So what happened? He paid for me. He paid for his wife's attorney so that everything was fair. And then they had a separate attorney through probate court that was trying to manage the fact that she could not operate by herself, right? So they had to get someone to represent her as a person apart from the attorney that represented her. And of course, nobody was fighting or anything. It was just kind of a formality. But the guy at some point wanted to move on. Now, a lot of women would look at that and say, oh, well, that's BS. You know, this woman is in need. Let's say he was 35. And, you know, she's about the same. A lot of women would say, well, you know, what happened in sickness and in health? But guys, try to go 3 years, 4 years without sex. And I'll tell you what marked me. To be honest with you guys, you know, we're all men, right? But we're going to be straight up. I almost cried when I saw that lady come into the courtroom because I had never seen anything like this. And I knew that she was in a bad state, but I didn't know. And when she came out of the elevator, she was in this like a wheelchair thing, but it was a bed. I had never seen like a wheelchair bed. And her leg, like this is her lying down with her head here. Her leg was sticking straight up hard, like not like just like solid, right? With her leg, like not 90 degrees, but like 60 degrees up. And everybody in that damn courtroom was shook. And so we're standing out in the hallway and we're just kind of talking, waiting for our turn to go in. And the sister just she's talking to one of the attorneys. And she reaches up and just grabs the damn leg and just kind of just pulls it down. And I was like, fuck. Right? What's the point? The point is like life is so hard, guys. There's so many things that can happen in a divorce. Now, if he would have not divorced her, if he would have just, you know, stayed together, but then would have got some side action, okay, he's cheating, but damn. Like, who's going to judge this man? Right? I mean, I don't know. What I'm telling you, I've seen
I understand. I think people don't think about sex as a real need for folks. And so they aren't understanding of that. And they think that once you take those vows, that doesn't come with any responsibilities that you'd like to meet or not able. So it is a very complicated situation. A sexless marriage is a very, very difficult situation for people to uphold. I can tell you this. I was just going to say one thing. In most foreign countries, if that situation happened, nobody would look at the man twice.
Right. And let me tell you something. After all of my years of practicing, I've stopped looking at the man twice, to be honest. And this, you know, shout out to Kevin Samuels and the whole options thing. I think that's a definite thing. And being down here in Atlanta with all these entertainers, all these singers, all these actors, all these athletes, right? That is definitely a thing. But I mean, on another level, I'm talking about when the woman turns it off. And you guys do not know how frequent that is.
Mm.
You might know individually because your wife cut it off, but you don't know that the people that you work with when you go into the office, half of those people aren't getting any either. Right?
Yeah.
And so I look at it from a totally different perspective. And just like you say that guys in other countries or people in other countries, societies in other countries don't look at it twice, I don't look at it twice either.
Mm.
Now,
real
am I
quick,
saying that if your wife just gives you everything you want and then you go out and you're doing all this other stuff, that's not what I'm saying. But, if your wife had sex with you in 3-4 years, I don't know what she expects you to do.
well, it's interesting, right? Some people will say, well, you have a responsibility to be faithful. Well, yeah, well, that responsibility to be faithful comes responsibility on the other side. If somebody's emotionally neglecting you for years, I think that's a very strong grounds to have a serious discussion about what needs to happen. And if it doesn't, then this person's not holding their vows either. It's not just about not having sex with other people. You have responsibilities to the person to be present, right? Because if you have a partner and they did, but imagine if you had a partner and they were gone for 5 years, and then you go sleep with someone, you weren't loyal. Well, they weren't present. You know what I'm saying?
I love it. Wait, that has to be a new thing. They weren't.
Yeah,
it's like the euphemism.
No, but they weren't.
They were present. I love that.
And I say this in defense of ladies in regards to some ladies saying like the man was just absolutely emotionally not present for a long time in the relationship. And I can understand from her perspective how that would be very difficult to be in a relationship with somebody who doesn't see you. You know what I mean?
Dude, yes.
So on the flip side, the sexual connotation is also present, right? So, I just think it's so interesting that when it comes to this, it's like, don't cheat. But there's a lot more vows that come with that. There's a lot more responsibilities. So, if the man just stopped making money and gave up on the finances, a lot of ladies would be like, you're not holding up your end of the bargain. So,
listen, I learned, even as an attorney, practicing 20 years, I learned some things. And guys, you guys don't know this, but I'm a minister to the extent that I can marry people, right? So
okay.
I marry a ton of people, and I'm going to start adding that to the damn vows.
Mm.
I'm like, do you promise to love? Yes. Cherish, left. Yes. To have and to hold. Yes. To be present. What's that? To be present. Well, what does that mean, Mr. Leader? Oh, you know what it means. Do you promise to be present? Right? I like that, right?
Yeah.
Because listen, it's part of the vows.
Hey, man, those are real things. But let me just get to a few super chats real quick. Think Outside the Box says, love Abba and Preach. Am I the only one who thinks so? All right. Yes, I appreciate you, lady. Beautiful Lie says, $100 here for the lead attorney. You got some fans in here who are giving me money, so I appreciate you.
To the Beautiful Lies, El Guapo. He's an excellent content creator. He's killing the streets. He's in a lot of bigger YouTubers conversations. He's actually doing it. Absolutely.
All right. We got Primetime 11223. The hardest part for me is knowing that marriage is not worth it, period. That my dream of holding my child newly born and being a better father than my father was is just gone. I think the whole idea of marriage not being worth it, I think that's something that a lot of people think. So we're going to talk about that in a second. We'll just hold on to that. Ronaful says, is this Tom Dubois from the Boondocks? I don't know why. Maybe it's the voice. I think the voice would be the only thing I would give him. But I'm a big fan of the Boondocks, so that's no hate. Rosenberg, 2 Christmases. Thank you for the dono. KP, in Arizona, the default is 50-50 custody. It's a natural state. What do you think about that?
That's where it's going in Atlanta. There's a proposal here in Georgia. Who knows? People have been talking about this for years, but that's the absolute way it should be. So if that's the case in Arizona, shout out to them. And again, guys, we don't have a really federal system to control divorces. Every state does it differently. So every state is either going to be above or behind the curve in some way. And, Atlanta is down here in the South where we are kind of behind. But shout out to Arizona. That's fantastic.
Okay. Christian Ortiz says, hey, man, I love Sharia law, too. Appreciate you. All right. Appreciate that. And then we got Snuggle668. Oh, God. She sells seashells by the seashore. Oh, okay. That's a throwback joke. That's a tongue twister. I know where that's from. Yes, I want to go to the next question. I actually wrote it down. This is why you take notes, people, because my memory's terrible. So we were talking about custody of children and maintaining that. I want to talk about this. This goes a little bit beyond divorces and custody hearings. But one thing I've seen, and this is from my personal life and some of the people around me, is that post having the child and divorce is happening, I've noticed that when parents are separate, oftentimes they'll use their children as bargaining chips, as a means to get back to the other person. I've seen parents be completely deprived of access to their child as a result of this. And it really scars the children and scars the individuals involved. So I want you to maybe speak on that and things that you may have seen, if you've seen that, or if you have any insight.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's a big one. That's a big one. And I'm hoping for some insight from behind the scenes, because I don't know what a lawyer sees.
Yeah, you said that parents use the kids to kind of get back with the other person, right?
Yes.
That is a factor, but parents use the kids as a pawn, as a tool for so many reasons. Now, let's be honest, the vast majority of the time, the women get custody of the kids. They get primary custody of the kids. What does that mean? It means that when the kids are going to be used as a tool, who is the one using the kids? It's the moms. Let's be honest. Have there been cases where a dad is using the kids to kind of get back at the mom? Yes, but let me tell you something about when moms have custody versus when dads have custody. When dads have custody, they are so much nicer in general to the moms. So many dads who have custody, they are not stressing the mom out about child support. They're not. Whereas we know how it gets on when the shoe's on the other foot. So many of these dads, when the mom just wants to show up and see her kids, she can show up and see the kids. It's not a lot of the case when the shoe is on the other foot. So guys in general are a nicer group when they have kids. So they are less disposed to use the kids as a tool anyway, because guys have this whole thing, shout out to Kwame Brown, the whole go along to get along. Guys really just like, listen, it's not worth it, whatever. You don't have to pay me child support. I'm working. I've got enough money, fine, right? And also that's because usually if the guy gets custody, the mom's in a bad way anyway. The mom's probably, she's trying to work at, I don't know, Burger King or something. So it's not like there's a lot of money to be had in the first place. And the fact that she lost custody means that there was chaos going on in the mom's life. So the dad isn't stressing her. When it goes the other way around, sometimes it's not the case. But let's just, for the sake of argument or for the sake of conversation, let's just say it's the mom, because that is, to be honest, the vast majority of the time. Moms use these kids for so many motives, really any motive you can think of under the sun, to hurt the man emotionally, to hurt. And that really is a huge reason. It's much less to really get back with the dad. A lot of times they just want to hurt the dad. They recognize that whatever they had with the dad is over, and now they want punishment. They want vengeance. They want their pound of flesh. And they know that, listen, if the guy has a new girl, that's the only way you're going to get him. The only way you're really going to get this dude is through his kids, especially if you guys weren't married in the first place and he just leaves. That's the only tie that you have to him. And so you mess around with his kid. You say, oh, well, you can come pick up the kid, and then he shows up and you're at Costco, and now you're not answering your phone, right? Or you say what's huge is parental alienation. Right. When the mom says to the kids, oh, your daddy doesn't love you anyway. Your daddy's only paying $900 a month anyway. Your dad knows that you need new shoes. Your dad was supposed to come get you this weekend. He says he's sick, but I think it's because he's really with his new girlfriend. He's trying to replace your mom. Guys, let me tell you something. Not only am I an attorney, but I'm also a guardian ad litem. What is a guardian ad litem? It is an attorney for children. So that when children are being abused, when children are being neglected, when something is wrong with the children, the court calls me up and assigns me to represent children down in juvenile court. And I have seen for over 20 years some of the things that women say to these kids to try to hurt the fathers, and it works. I mean, a mother can make a son hate the father. She can absolutely do it because when the child's 4 or 5 years old, there's a time imbalance. If the father could spend more time with the child, then the child could see the father move. But it's so easy to trick a 5-year-old anyway, right? And
Yeah.
so this absolutely happens. Mothers routinely, bad mothers, good mothers do not do this. And there are good mothers, guys. Don't get me wrong.
Yes.
There are
Yeah.
good mothers. We're talking about the bad mothers. Bad mothers fall into this, and that will be the go-to, because it's not like the mom can really beat you up. You know, you're 6'3", 225. What can the mom do if she's trying to hurt you? She's gonna go for those kids.
Yeah, you see it all the time, you know, moms trying to turn the kids around against the father. And I personally know friends of mine who, you know, it's not even just the courts. In the first 2 years of the child's life, when they need to be on the mom's tit all the time and all that stuff, it's hard for the father to have access unless the mom really wants, right? Yeah. So in the circumstance where they're separated, but there's a child involved, the mom has all the control in that regard. So it's very easy in those kind of moments, especially with all the hormone imbalance, to be very spiteful in that regard. So I'm not even talking about from a law standpoint. It's just the kid has to be with the mom in the early stages. Yeah. You know, you could do split custody all you want. Man's not going to grow some titties and some milk overnight. So in the first 2 years, there's going to be a certain level of presence that the mom has, and naturally the courts are going to side with her. So I've just seen so many circumstances where people want to be present, people want to be fathers, and you see the women do everything in their power to make it difficult or to make it miserable. And you know, I've counseled them and I've told them, like, you know, at some point custody is going to come into play and you won't have to deal with the level of control that they have, but it's also so emotionally draining.
Absolutely.
And so I hear it from them all the time. I hear how much they're suffering. And that's a part of it that a lot of people don't talk, because we often speak about deadbeat fathers or people who run out on their kids. But there's sometimes that these women make the man run out on the kids. And that might be hard to hear, but when you want to see your child, but somebody makes it miserable for you every single time, they make you feel, and you stop living. You literally stop living.
Absolutely.
Because of how much control, because you see this child and you see it's your seed and you want to be involved. And this woman does everything in her power to not only make the child hate you and resent you, but make sure you get as little access as possible. It is a very disgusting set of circumstances to be in. And I do not wish it, which is why I tell people, be careful who you have kids with, because some of these people will do everything in their power to make you miserable if things go south, because power corrupts. And let me tell you, a mom who has complete custody over a child and control will use it if she's got some bad character.
Absolutely. You sound like a damn divorce attorney.
I could have done that, man. I could have definitely been an attorney. You know what I'm saying? I just couldn't be bothered with school, so I never did it.
Right. Listen, you absolutely could have done, because you were absolutely right. It happens all of the time, and there's not a good defense.
No.
Now, a defense is give the man more time so that the child can see. And like you were saying, you know, from 0 to 2 years, what can you really do? Now, I would say maybe 6 months. Right, because 2 years is a long time. If a woman wants to breastfeed, fine. I do feel like breastfeeding is very important, especially for the brain cells and the growth and all of that. Fair enough. But 2 years, come on. By that time, your damn child is unbuttoning your own bra. Like that's too long. I mean, there are women who breastfeed when the child's 8, right? So I'm not going to say it's too long, but you know, I want the fathers to have as much time with their children as possible, as quickly as possible. I had a guy show up on my stream the other day. He was saying that his child was 15 when he divorced, and he was paying the mom an extra $700 a month so that the mom did not talk bad about him when he had 50-50 custody. Now, I told him that that's terrible, because if your 15-year-old child can be turned against you when you have 50-50 custody, $700 ain't making no difference. Like, you're just screwed at that point. If you spend half of the time with your child, your 15-year-old child who you're taking to the park, you're taking to the game, the baseball game, if the mom can turn that child against you, well, the $700 isn't gonna make any difference. And then it was worse. He admitted that when he paid the $700 for 3 years, when the child turns 18, she kicks the child out. The child comes and lives with him, and he finds out that she had been bad-mouthing him anyway. And she didn't give any of the money back. And what the cherry on top is that she made substantially more than he did, so she didn't even need the money.
Mm.
right? He was paying child support plus $700 extra so that she didn't talk bad about him. She then talked bad about him, didn't give his money back, and she didn't need the money anyway because she made way more than he did. What is that? That's men. I'm telling you how weak men, I don't want to say are because it sounds so absolute, but I see it so much.
You know what, though? I don't think it's weakness. You know what I suspect?
It's
is that
absolutely
men
weak.
want to have a diplomatic relationship with the baby mother. And so you do what you think logically makes sense in order to have the smoothest relationship, not knowing that despite you wanting to be diplomatic, the other person on the other end is not interested in diplomacy because from their position, all they want to do is get back at you. So I completely understand where they're coming from. They're just not understanding the dynamic of the relationship.
Yes, and they are not understanding. Yeah, you're exactly right. You're exactly right. Men need to be way more aggressive.
Yeah.
There are a lot of aggressive women they will come. You guys are so weak, man. You guys will know that you're in a bad relationship and then go out and buy your wife a $5,000 purse to make her happy.
Yeah.
And what's going to kill you is that she's going to come into my office with that $5,000 purse and she's going to open it up and there are going to be 2 years of your 401 bank statements, your 401k bank statement, your 401k accounts, statements, and she's going to tell me exactly how much you have in there and exactly how much she wants. And it's all in envelopes tucked into
Vicious.
that $5,000 purse
Vicious.
that you bought her. Oh,
Vicious.
Oh, men are not like that.
No, but you have to imagine it's the mother of your child. You know, I think it's easy for us on the outside to look in and say, this is how you should handle it. But the thing is, when we're thinking about it, we're thinking, that's the mother of my kid. I just want us to be cool. So I'm not going to do anything that's going to make us wage war, not recognizing that the other side has already purchased their tanks. They got their airplanes flying in right now over your country with bombs over Baghdad. Shout out to Outcast, because I know you're in Atlanta.
That's
Deep South,
exactly
let's
right.
go.
That's
Okay?
exactly
Let's go. Give him that. Give him another one. Give him another one. Okay? All right, shout out. All right, we're the life of the party right now. So I think people don't understand that mindset. I'm telling you this not as a lawyer, obviously, but just as someone who's watched my friends handle it. I'm like, oh, they are trying to do diplomacy with somebody who has a gun to their chest. They just haven't seen the firearm yet, or they don't want to see it. So I think that's the difference in the mindset. Now, people could see that as weakness. I actually think personally that it's a little bit noble to want to have that diplomacy with someone that you know is so important to your child, because that should be everyone's mindset when a child is involved.
Great
you
point.
should be thinking,
That's a great point.
I want the baby mother to be cool. I want her to be well, right? I want her to be happy because it makes my child happy. So it's not a weak mindset from where I'm standing. However, it is a little bit of a gullible mindset because you're not seeing the other person for who they are and what they're capable of.
Exactly. You should write a book. You should absolutely write a book from a divorce attorney's perspective, even though you're not a divorce attorney. Because everything you're saying is exactly right. And you're giving guys credit. And I'm less motivated to give guys credit, but what you're saying is absolutely true. I agree with it.
Yeah.
Maybe what guys need to do is there's nothing wrong with making that first offering, but then you have to sit back and watch. Is there a correspondence? Right? I want men to be tougher. I want men to be way more aggressive because I see how well aggressiveness works. It absolutely works, but it's way better to have peace. And that's what guys are about. Guys have a phrase that will screw and it's a phrase that every single guy has in their head, and it's a go-to phrase, and it's why you guys get screwed. You say, it's not worth it. You know, I could say this, but it's not worth it. I could go hire an attorney, but it's not worth it. You know, I could go call the police because she's supposed to be right here with my kids, and she's not, and I've got a certified court order stating that she needs to be here with my kids, and she's not. I could call the police right now, but it's not worth it. I'll see my kids next week. It's not a problem. And the problem is this mentality lasts for years.
Let me ask you this. You've seen both parties try to divorce the other, right? Both genders.
I've represented so many women, so many
Okay,
men.
so let me ask you, who's most surprised by the divorce or caught off guard?
That's a good question. That's a good question. And it's usually men. Here's the problem. Here's the problem. Well, let's take a step back. Most of the times when there's a divorce, both parties kind of see it coming.
Okay.
They kind of see it coming. The thing about it is women will threaten a divorce, but a lot of times they won't go through with it. You would see this way more back in the day. Nowadays, it's like women will get a divorce. But back in the day, you would see this. Women was, oh, I want a divorce. And the guy would kind of get her flowers and, you know, things would roll on for another 2 months. And then it would pop up again. I'm going to divorce you. I'm going to go to an attorney. And the guy would be like, no, baby, another 4 months. So when the guy is at work 2 years after this and the sheriff comes up to his job and hands him the papers, he's like, what the hell is this? And it's divorce papers. But she had been telling him for 2 years, but it's kind of like, I don't know if you guys have in Canada, the story about the boy that cried wolf, right?
Yeah,
She's been
we have
saying
that.
it.
Everyone has that.
Everyone has that. Is that in Sharia law? I don't know if that story is in the Quran. Is that Islam?
Hey, man, it's definitely in the Arab world too. They got wolves out there.
They go, man, right? And so a woman will constantly keep threatening this, and the guy becomes desensitized to it. So when he actually gets it, he's shocked. Now there are also times when the woman has a new guy, and you know, okay, there's a divorce, or you know, sometimes guys. It's hard to surprise women with a divorce. Women know the relationship is bad. You're never going to fool a woman to think that the relationship is good when it's not. Women will see a bad relationship before it's bad. It is good, and the woman will be like, okay, in 8 months, this is going to turn ugly. And if it's good in 8 months, she will turn it ugly, right? Women will kind of call it dropping to see where it's at. Maybe that's a shot, but I've seen it. I've seen it, right? Women will kind of rock the boat sometimes, whereas men, it's not worth it. A lot of times men are more peaceful. They just want peace. And a woman kind of wants some activity. A woman wants some movement. A woman wants to know that you're still here. You're still emotionally involved. How do you show you're emotionally involved? Well, if you get angry, right? Or if you get jealous, let's talk about it, right? So you're not really going to surprise a woman so much that the relationship is bad because she's going to see it coming from a mile away. You will get comfortable in a bad relationship. Guys will be at peace in a relationship that's operating at 20% capacity. Whereas if the relationship is operating at 90% capacity, a woman's going to be like, there's an extra 10% that I could get out of this.
Yeah, well, you know what's interesting? There's a study that came out. I remember a while back. It was this lady, I can't remember her name, but she did this study in regards to like what they looked for in their partners, and you know, and they posed a question to the men, and they said, "Men, if you guys got maybe 75% of what you wanted, a woman, would you marry her?" And the guys were like, "Hell yeah, 75! That's unbelievable."
It is.
And they asked the same question to the ladies, and ladies were like, "Hell no! Why would I settle?"
I didn't know about that study. I've just been doing this damn thing for 20 years, and that is exactly right. That study is exactly right. And you see it play out in divorces because women are like, no, I could be happier.
Yeah.
And guys are like, listen, as long as we're not screaming at each other, as long as you give me some oral on my birthday, we can keep this going for another couple of years.
So for everyone who's wondering, her name is Lori Gottlieb. Okay, she's an American writer and psychotherapist. She's the author of the New York Times bestseller, Maybe You Should Talk to Someone and You Can Settle on Mr. Okay. So that's where she got it from. She was quoting a few studies, but I was listening to her speak about how sometimes we're far too picky in that regards or too demanding, and it kind of fucks us.
Women would be so much happier if they could objectively, if they could lower their standards. Now, of course, women hate to hear this, but
You're in Atlanta. Tell us about that.
Man, I'm not even talking about lower their standards in terms of the men that they get with, but lower their let's not say lower their standards. Lower their expectations of what it truly takes to be happy. Do you need to be at 100%? Or, like you were just saying, can you be at 75%? There are 8,000 people watching this chat. All of the men in this chat, if they could get a consistent 75% happiness in their relationships, they would never get divorced. A lot of guys know who their girlfriends are. They know who their fiancés are. They've seen their fiancés flip out. They will still propose. They will still get married, knowing that's how she is, because they're like, okay, she's 25% like this, but she's 75% like this. I will go the rest of my life with this 75%. Whereas the woman is trying to change you to get you up to the 100%.
Okay. Let me just go through a few super chats real quick, and then we'll get back to some more questions because they started flooding in all of a sudden. Nikki Butler says, as always, wonderful content. We appreciate you.
Salute, Nikki.
Masa Muse, we appreciate you for the $10. Mr. Dino. Is malicious desertion still a claim someone can use when spouse withholds intimacy?
Not really. All the states now have irreconcilable differences. You don't need a reason anymore to get divorced. Guys.
Isn't it no-fault divorce?
Yep, that's exactly right. Look at you. Oh, I'm waiting on that book about divorce attorneys.
Hey, can I just say something? I want to give a big shout out to the original Law and Order, because the original Law and Order didn't involve just rape cases. They covered pretty much everything. And one thing I really enjoyed about it is that even though it wasn't a perfect representation, they did a lot of things really well in that show, according to lawyers who watched it. Like how when you went to certain traffic courts, there was a huge lineup of people all sitting in the back of the courtroom waiting to be called up with their ticket. A lot of the little details that they covered were immaculate. So it gave me a good view into some aspects of courtroom. And then I learned about like no-fault divorces and some of the terminology. So shout out to the original Law and Order. I know there's a bunch of SVU fans because they like drama, but that one's way better. Okay. Ryan McCoy says, primary custody should update accordingly as the kids get older, barring exceptions. Kids get more from mom to adolescence than dad has a bigger impact during adulthood. I don't know about that, but that's an interesting take. Rhonda Holloway says, facts. I'm a woman and I am disgusted by women who behave like this.
Shout out to Rhonda. There are a lot of good women out here, guys.
Yes, I agree. I know a lot of women who have awesome understandings with their baby father or in those circumstances. And I think when you can have that, it's already difficult enough co-parenting. To have someone you have to fight just to raise your kid, and that person's also raising your kid, is super difficult. Jay Rizzle says, awesome seeing my two favorite YouTubers collaborating. Thank you, sir.
Shout out to Jay Rizzle. Let me hit the horn for Jay Rizzle. Y'all don't know who Jay Rizzle is. Jay Rizzle is a black man, and he's shout out to Jay Rizzle. I don't want to put your stuff out there, but this dude he's legit. Shout out to Jay Rizzle.
All right, I want to give a shout out to Greg O, Egg64, Urban Mask, RD, Rahima Kelly, Insurance Agent. All right, that's quite an intense YouTube name. The Red Mask Channel. They said this interview will cement lead attorney in the YouTube space. How do you feel about that, lead?
I love it. I appreciate listen, I just want to tell you at the very beginning, I really appreciate you having me on here. Somebody with 1 million followers to see someone with like 50, 60,000. I'm surprised that you saw me. I really am.
I be in the YouTube space. I be watching. I like looking up folks and seeing young folks. I'm actually only subscribed to pretty much only small channels. So ironically enough, that's just kind of my thing.
That is
not even by choice. It's just I often find little niches that I really like. C. Hennessy, shout out to you. Edgar Charles says, was it Reagan who said don't negotiate with terrorists? I actually don't know who said that. Amoyele, thank you for the dono. Trash Can Waves, Snuggle. James
Salute
Tech.
to Trash Can Waves and Snuggles, yes.
Yes. And then we got Markel Williams. He says, I love the thumbnail. I think people were really shocked by the pose that I struck, not knowing it was an homage to you, sir.
I love the thumbnail. I said, I put it on my Instagram. I only have like 5 posts on my Instagram. I hate Instagram, but I actually put that on my Instagram. I loved it.
Yeah.
That was a great thumbnail.
Yeah. I just seen that post and I feel like it's like that's yours. So I thought it'd be funny to just try it out. But people were like, "Why is he acting sus?" I said, "Oh my god, these people are coming
No,
from my
I get
neck."
it all the time. People are like, "Oh, he's part of the Illuminati. He's part of the Boule, whatever the hell that is." You know, I got my little bracelets. They were like, "Oh, that's the part of the witchcraft." I'm like,
They be coming for you. They think everybody's part of the Masonic tribe.
yeah. Oh, Mason, all the time. I get it. All
Yeah,
the
one time I did this, and everyone thought like I was part of the
bet they
Illuminati.
lost it.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I wouldn't mind. Like if they paid me enough, I'd probably join the New World Order. I haven't received an invitation, but
Right.
if
I
I
don't know how you
did,
get
like,
invited.
listen, I've been in the same apartment for the last like 6-7 years of my life. I need an upgrade. So,
Wow.
all right, I got some more questions for you. If you still got the energy, you good?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
All right, guys in the chat, if you guys are still enjoying it, put a little 1 in the chat. Show
Yeah,
some
and
love
just
if you
a
guys
shout
want us to
out to
keep going.
JP, the aspiring matriarch. Awesome content creator. Shout out to JP.
All right. So, from your perspective, what is generally the biggest sticking points when it comes to divorces? From your experience, is it the kids? Is it money? Is it property? What do you see as being like generally the thing that most people struggle with when it comes to divorces?
Yeah, it's almost always money. All right, here's the thing. The biggest sticking points that are visible are money and the kids. I will say though that there is a huge component that is emotional, especially as people get older. I remember I represented a case and they were an older couple, late 50s. And let me tell you something about women, guys. Women, you know, you could say, you could argue about what they fear the most, but women do not want to be old and alone. That is the number one thing. They will take a lot of hardships, but being old and alone is not one that they're going to freely sign up for. Now, if a woman gets...
Why do you say that?
It's just because I've seen it. I've seen the difference in how a woman who's 25 or 30 will fight in a divorce to stop the divorce, and how much a woman that's 60 will fight to get out of a divorce.
To get out, like to not allow a divorce to happen.
To stop the divorce, to not allow divorce to go through, right? I mean, a woman who's 28, you know, the man says, "I want a divorce." She's like, "Here's where do I sign? Let's get out." A 60-year-old woman, you're gonna see the 60-year-old woman on Tinder? She does not want to be alone. And they do not like, and there was one case that hurt my heart so much. My client would he would go downstairs in the morning, and he would go downstairs and read the paper. And the wife would set him up at his placemat at the table, the kitchen table. She set up like this altar, and of all the photos of him and her together going back all these years, of the kids and the grandkids. And he was like, "What do I need to do?" You know, he'll say, "You know, I go down there, there's this damn altar. I'll put all the stuff back, you know, and go about my day. When I wake up in the morning and go downstairs for my coffee, she's put this damn altar back. She did the altar every day. How can I stop her from doing this altar?" A 28-year-old woman ain't never doing that. You know, it's the sense that the times are different, right? So usually what I'm trying to say is there is some emotional thing. Guys do not want to be out here dating either a lot of the times. A lot of you guys are like 40, 45, and y'all like, "Listen, I know my marriage is operating at 45%. I'll stay in it. I will stay in it so that I don't have to get out here. I've gained 40 pounds. I know how I look now. I'm not going to be good on the market. I feel old. I don't want to sit there again at Chili's and the Cheesecake Factory. Oh, well, tell me if you have your brothers and sisters. Like, what do y'all do?" Guys try to conserve energy. And guys are like, it takes so much less energy for me to stay in this 45% marriage than to actually go out there and try to get someone new. And go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say on that point that I think is interesting. traditionally men who get divorced at later ages die much faster than the women, because a lot of like the behind the scenes labor that the women contribute, they're not there to do it anymore. And also men traditionally don't maintain their friendships later on in life nearly as well as women do. So women will have support systems that they can lean on, whereas a man, if the wife is gone, it's pretty much over. They have nobody else in their life other than maybe their kids. And so divorce actually impacts men far more in older age than it does the women in terms of like death and loneliness and depression.
To an extent, I will say this. A lot of guys are surprised. You know, they will lose half of their stuff and their kids will get taken away and they feel terrible. But when they come home, guess what? There's peace. And there's time. Guys, you do not realize how much time your wife and your kids are taking up. And when you go home on that random Tuesday at 6:30 and you hit your apartment, because Lord knows you're not in your house. When you hit that apartment and open the door and there's nothing to do there, there's just quiet. A lot of you guys will say, okay, I need to start getting into some hobbies. And you guys will start hiking. You guys will go to the gym. Now, guess what? And you've got more time to dedicate to your job. Maybe even start a side hustle. So guess what? Your income starts going up, right? And then you're like, oh, okay. And then because of your hobbies, maybe you're going to the gym. Now you've lost 5 pounds. Now you've lost 10 pounds. You've lost 20 pounds. Now you're starting to see a little six pack and your income is going up. Plus you're older now, right? You're 37, you're 42. You will find that when you hit the dating market, there are women out there like, hey, what's up? And this is going to shock you because when you got married 13 years ago, you remember it was a struggle to get women. It's not a struggle to get women, guys. If you're 38, your income is going up, you're losing weight, you're good. Like women are looking for you. Well, now, you know, if you're a 4, let's be honest, all right? But if you were in a ballpark and you get out of this marriage and you've got time and you hit the dating scene, a lot of men enjoy it. Now, dating can be a hassle. It's work. It's true. It can be expensive. But you can get so much value out of meeting new people. And so a lot of guys, that's why I like divorce. I like snatching these dudes out, man. Like this 35% marriage that you're operating in, it's not your happiest that you could get. You've got so much more potential. And a lot of guys are surprised how good life is once they get out of their marriage at 35, once they get out of their marriage at 38, at 42. And women are not really like that. Women don't have that to where they got out of their marriage at 38 and now life is so much better. It's not true, right? So I respect with what you're saying about women making sure that, you know, the guy's health is attended to, and that's true. I just got out of a long-term relationship myself. I got the COVID vaccine, and my girl, she was like, you know, are you going to get the vaccine? I was like, yeah, I'll get it. This was when it was harder to get. And you had to go and research and set up appointments and find out where it was and all that. And sorry, I didn't mean to mention that word. But I got what do they call it? The stick or whatever. I got it, but she set it all up for me. This was way before you could just go down to any CVS or Kroger and get it. If it had not been for her, I would have went months without getting it.
On the topic of what happens after divorce, I think what ends up happening is people sometimes have a bit of selection bias, because traditionally they will only see like, let's say a divorce happens and you happen to see the guy again in 3 years. The guy you're most likely going to see is the one who's doing well, because he's going to be outdoorsy. He's going to be taking on life and the challenges. But the ones who stay indoors, who completely seclude themselves, who are not interested in doing anything new, just end up shriveling up and dying. And there's a study, I remember reading up on this because I was doing research on divorce and like the effects of it. And it said men face higher risks in many other health areas following a divorce, which can increase their rate of early mortality by up to 250%, according to the Journal of Men's Health. They also face increased rates of hypertension, depression, suicide, substance abuse, and cancer. So when we speak about the effects of divorce, on men, especially those who are older. Generally, you see some men who can turn it around, and with their wealth and with their status as an older man, they can do really well for themselves. But the truth is, most men don't do that. In fact, most men suffer tremendously. And I think that's important information to have, because I think sometimes there's this idea that because the women are older, they get divorced, they're inherently going to be the miserable ones. But what studies have shown time and time again is that women outlive the men by far. And yes, I think that's important to note, because my experience from seeing old men is that once you're set in your ways, a divorce is not going to make you change your ways automatically. A lot of these guys will just recluse themselves and kind of shut it down, because they've been living one way for so long. And if one thing that men are adverse to, it's change. Men are not good with change. They like their routine and they like their simplicity, especially as they get older. But I'll let you go.
I hear you. But you're talking about men shutting it down. Let me tell you something about men shutting it down, though. A lot of those men who shut it down and they're in their home and they go to work and they come home and they play Xbox. Let me tell you something about those men, Abba. They're fucking happy. A lot of those men are just good, man. A lot of men don't need much. Men don't need to stay in some huge mansion if they're not out trying to attract women. You can put a man in a 2-bed, 2-bath, 1,700 foot house, give him an Xbox and give him a hobby, and give him $70,000 per year. That's a happy dude. It's not like men are always chasing to maximize the 100%. They weren't maximizing it before their marriage. They weren't maximizing it during their marriage, and they're not trying to maximize it after their marriage. Most dudes are low key. Are there dudes that always need to be out on the scene and this and that? Yes, but I don't feel like that's most men.
Yeah, maybe it's also the area you come from. I can assure you that the men in my area, and especially those from more so immigrant backgrounds, they don't have a lot of the life skills that you would need as a single person. So even the whole idea of cooking, even the whole idea of cleaning, managing a home, these are all tasks that they've always offloaded to their wives or to their spouse. So once that divorce happens and they're on their own, their life quality completely deteriorates. I can assure you, I know plenty of dudes they just don't have any of the skills. So the ladies get the divorce, they got the skill sets to be able to take care of themselves. They'll at least be able to survive. These guys will not be able to eat. And I'm not even being hyperbolic about this. I've seen it so many times. And so I think there's definitely a segment of men who, once they get divorced, they feel a tremendous happiness because they're away from that burden and that stress. But like you said, most dudes will take 40% if it means that their routine is still in place, because they know what life without that routine looks like, and they know they're not willing to do that work. So there's both sides to that, but I always appreciate the insight. We can definitely go back and forth on that for days, but we'll let the audience decide for themselves who they agree with or on which side you guys stand on. I think there's a bit of truth in both. I want to go to a different question.
Yeah.
Unless there's anything you wanted to say on this before.
No, I agree. If a guy doesn't have basic life skills, if he's not going to clean, if he's not going to wash his clothes, if he's not going to cook, a guy can absolutely start living in squalor. And then you are exactly right. It'll just kind of fall off the damn cliff. You're absolutely right.
Yeah. I mean, look, people just see the increased mortality rates right after the divorces. Generally men are the ones who hurt the most from breakups, far more than women. Every study replicates this. Even though we say a lot of times women are the emotional ones, the ones who are most devastated, the ones who commit suicide, the ones who absolutely go into depression, it's not women. It's not women. It's not even close. Right? People could say when women are the emotions one. I can assure you, when it comes to divorce and breakups, men suffer by far. And men stay suffering far longer than women ever do. But you may not be privy to that because you don't necessarily see them in their homes crying, or you don't see them in their homes just completely depressed, or you may not hear about them killing themselves. But as far as like taking bad turns and then ending their whole lives, yeah, men suffer from that. And I think that's a whole different problem on its own.
Yeah, I agree with that. And like I said in the beginning, it's this mentality that men have about the duty and the obligation and the responsibility, and that their marriage failed and what could they have done to fix it. I agree with that. And when they get out of that, or when they're going through that, it's a tremendously emotional experience. And not just because of the breakup, it's because they lost half their shit. Right? They lost their kids. Like, why would the woman be upset when she's got 50% more stuff that she didn't necessarily earn, and she's got her damn kids? What does she have to be mad about? Right?
I agree.
Like, I understand why a man would be, but having said that, if a man can just get that first girlfriend, there's going to be a time when the man isn't, he's not trying, he's so traumatized by what has happened to him in this unfair court justice system. If he can just get this one girlfriend that he likes and she likes him, that will reinvigorate him. I mean, the sky's the limit. But men absolutely have a reason to be devastated out of a divorce because they've lost so much.
Right. But so that's why I'm trying to say, I'm not disagreeing with the reasons why. I agree with you why they're feeling that way, part and parcel, because of those things that you mentioned. But again, I think that's what leads to those bad outcomes. It's hard to start your life over when someone's leeching off of your paycheck every month and they feel like they're undeserving. It's hard when you feel like your kids are starting to hate you. This whole idea, like, you go turn it around. When you look at your paycheck, I look at my paycheck and I see what the government takes out of it. If I had a random woman also taking a pay, I'd be pissed too. So that's why I say, like, when it comes to divorces, men are hurting. Men are not doing that well when it comes to post-divorcing. It's for all the reasons that you mentioned as well. So all those things factor in. But let me go right to the next question. Hey, man, this has been seamless, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've enjoyed this. Probably do 2 more and then take a couple questions from the super chat, and then we'll go there. What's the worst reason you've ever seen for divorce?
I know that's a great question. The worst reasons are hidden really from attorneys, and really hidden a lot from a lot of people. The fallback, whatever the reason is, if it's not a good reason, the person won't say, the person will just say, I'm not happy anymore. And that just covers it all up. And when a person says, I'm not happy anymore, there's no really reason to start digging underneath that.
Fair.
It's just, I'm not happy anymore. And I say, okay. And then we go from there. So that's an interesting question. I'm not sure if I've been told what the real worst reasons, I'm sure there are, of course, but a lot of times you're not going to hear it. They're just going to say, I'm not happy. And then that's the kind of justification for anything. Yeah,
that makes sense. Okay, cool. And this is something that I learned while I was doing a bit of research. You said that you did law that involves young children. I think you said something about custodian law?
Yeah, guardian ad litem. Yes. It's
guardian ad litem.
Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So can you tell us about that, just what that is? And then also tell us, just go for that. Just tell us what that is real fast.
Yeah. Okay. So guardian ad litem, it's Latin, right? It's an attorney. Now, in some states, it doesn't even have to be an attorney, and that's when you're really screwed, right? Hopefully, your guardian ad litem is an attorney, but an attorney is assigned to watch out for the interests of the kids. Because what'll happen? Let's say I'm married to, I don't know, a Lauren, right? And we have a beautiful kid, right? And Lauren,
hold up, Bleed. Are you using my platform to shoot your shot? Is that what's happening right now?
It's a random name, right?
Lauren, it's a random name that's come up multiple times. Lauren, if you'd like to ask Lauren out on a date, Lead, we can set that up. I don't even know who Lauren is, but we can set that up. If anybody got Lauren's contact, y'all hit her up on the DMs and get her up in here, because I think somebody's trying to ask her out on a date.
No,
but anyways, carry on, sir.
Right. We'll use another name. We'll use like Melissa. All right.
Melissa? So, what's her last name? Lauren? Right. Wait. Is this lady's name Lauren Melissa? No, don't even play with me. Is this lady's? Is her name Lauren Melissa?
Oh my God, the chat's calling me out.
Melissa?
Chat, y'all why y'all diving me out?
My man's trying to say I'm not shooting my shot. We're gonna use a different name. How about her last name? You know what? Why don't we use another name? What about her middle name?
Oh, the chat is diming me out. I thought y'all were with me. Come on, man. Come
Hey,
on,
you know
don't
what?
dime me out.
You know what? Hold up. You know what? This right here, you
Oh
know.
my God.
Let's be honest. Let's be honest. This right here, it's definitely, I think,
Chat's diming me out.
it's an important moment. So I gotta do something real quick. Cause I think right now I could see your intentions. I know what you're trying to do, and I'm
Oh
not
my
mad at you, sir.
God.
I'm not mad at you.
Listen.
I'm not mad at you.
Shout out
Okay?
to all the Laurens, all the Melissas. There are millions of them. I don't know why we're focused on any particular what, right? There are millions of them. But
lead. Can you just do me a favor? Can you just stare at the camera real quick?
yeah.
These are their stories.
All right, I feel like I'm getting set up. This guy, listen.
All right, Lauren, if you're watching this, a crime may happen. Could be a crime of passion,
Oh God.
but it'll be a good time. Lauren, get in touch with my man Lee. He'll hold you down. You've never had a defense lawyer like this man. Okay? All right?
Sell me.
You want to be okay? He's got you. But don't fuck it up. He knows about divorces. All right.
This is the number one wingman over here. Listen, he is a divorce attorney, aka wingman, aka million subscriber YouTuber, and he dances, and he's a comedian.
Oh
Jeez.
shit, he knows how to dance. That's crazy. My man done a bit of research. Okay,
listen, come on, man.
Listen, I gotta support the brothers. If I can help two beautiful black folks find love between each other, I'm all for it. You know what I'm saying? In this economy, we need to find love. We need to come together. All right? And then we also need divorce attorneys to make money in the back end. Okay? So at the end of the day, I'm not just supporting your love life. I'm also supporting your business.
Listen, this is what we need. More of the brothers supporting the brothers. Thank you. Listen, the ultimate wingman right here. Ultimate.
I got no problem with that. So
you
with
are
that,
the man.
okay.
Let me tell you about these guardian ad litem, right?
Yes, let's go.
So what a lot of times is I'll be married to a Lauren, and we'll have a beautiful kid. But then I'll start, since I'm high value, right? I'll start exercising my options, and then she'll want to divorce me. But since things are going pretty well with me anyway, I'm gonna give her some stuff, right? She's gonna get some stuff out of the divorce, fair enough. But I've still got stuff going on myself. So she's gonna want to try to hurt me a little bit, like she has been hurt in the marriage. But she's gonna use our kid. So what is she gonna say? She's gonna be like, oh, well, the lead attorney, he's got such a unsafe home environment. He has all of these weapons in the house. And he moved in some girl, right? And just moved her in because she's got 2 nose rings and I only got 1. Right. And supposedly she's a stripper down there at Blue Flame. And now she's got our child living with a stripper, and there's all these guns in the house, and he went and got some pit bulls. Shout out to Mike Vick. Right. And so the judge is not, I'm going to say, no, Your Honor, all that's a lie. And so the judge is going to be sitting there just going to listen to her and listen to me. The judge doesn't know who's telling the truth. So the judge is going to assign a guardian ad litem. What is the guardian ad litem going to do? Guardian ad litem is going to go to my house. It's going to pay me a little visit. They'll say, lead attorney, open the door. Let me see. You got some pit bulls in here? Do you got a stripper living in here? Word on the street, she's got 2 nose rings, right? Let me evaluate your home environment, right? Do you have any money? Can you take care of the child? Like where, let me see the child's room. Does she have her own separate bed? Did she have her toys, right? So what the guardian ad litem does is try to evaluate the situation, and then the guardian ad litem goes and makes a report and submits the report to the judge. So now the judge has an independent party. The judge doesn't have to believe my attorneys, doesn't have to believe Lauren's attorneys. The judge has an independent attorney read a 20-page report about how she is as a mother, how I am as a father, and then can kind of make a determination. That is the role of a guardian ad litem, to kind of be the investigative arm of the judge and make sure that the kids are protected. Now, go ahead.
So I want to ask you, because you're dealing with such young children, and you're trying to look out for their best interest because nobody else will in these kind of circumstances. What if it's been like a real case that's maybe marked you when defending a young child?
I mean, there are just so many. You know, you can, as a guardian ad litem, you can defend 17-year-olds and you can defend 7-month-olds. I mean, you're just right.
It's such a spectrum, but yeah,
Yes,
I'd love to hear.
defended-
I'd love to hear from that, because oftentimes we don't hear about these kids who obviously don't have someone to traditionally defend them in form of a parent per se. So, like, what's a story that may have marked you in that?
Yeah, I represented a child, and the child was like 6. She was like 6 months, and the father was like 25. And the father told the aunt that the 6-month-old could dance. And the aunt was like, "What are you talking about? The 6-month-old can dance?" And they're there at the house. And the aunt was like, 6-month-olds can't dance. They can barely walk. What are you saying? And he was swearing, "No, she can dance. She can dance." And the aunt's like, "Okay, well, just get out of here," right? Well, he comes back with his daughter, right? With his 6-month-old in his arms, in his hands. And she didn't have a diaper on. So it's like her head is here and her legs are here, right? And he's holding the child. And he says, "Look, you thought I was lying. She can dance." And then he starts blowing on her cooch. Now, when he starts blowing on her cooch, her legs start moving. It's not fucking funny. See, you're a comedian, so you can get away with laughing at fucked up shit. But they're gonna cancel me.
I'm sorry.
As a
Send that man to jail. I'm sorry.
You can get. I don't have the cover of being a comedian. You can get away with laughing at bullshit like this. I can't
Send
laugh.
that man to jail.
I can't laugh at it. You can laugh at it. I can't laugh at this. I will get canceled. You can say, you're a comedian and you laugh at anything. Fucking comedians, man.
I'm sorry. That's fucked up.
But that's
fucked up.
It's real life, man. So of course the aunt is like, "What in the hell are you doing?" Because he's just in there blowing, and the little legs are just wiggling, and he's laughing, and the aunt is like, "This is BS." So of course he gets arrested, right? And the child winds up in juvenile court to figure out, what are we going to do about this? Because this cannot happen. So it's things like, guys, and this is stuff that you will never see on the news. None of it, guys. So much stuff. The news only shows you 1% of what is happening in real life. You guys don't know any. I see this stuff every day. People are sick. I'm trying not to read the chat.
No, you know what kills me, that whole story? The little, you doing the little.
You're gonna get me canceled.
The little leg started moving.
It was like, no, I can't do it. Y'all ain't gonna get me canceled. I mean, it was BS, man. It's not the child's fault.
Oh my God.
Right. So there is a reason why there is a juvenile court. There is a reason why there are guardian ad litems, because there are fathers and mothers who will absolutely neglect and abuse these kids. You see it every day. If you're a comedian, you can laugh about it and be saved.
Everyone can laugh. That's funny, and it's fucked up. It's like, I don't know. There was like even details about the R. Kelly case were hilarious, but send the man to jail at the same time, even though what he did is fucked up. Life is strange. Life is weird. When terrible things happen, you even see this from like soldiers in war. Like soldiers in war will still find opportunities to laugh and have like a sense of relief, even in the most fucked up circumstances. This is how you rationalize certain things. And sometimes life is so absurd that even though what you're seeing is fucked up, there's a bit of humor in there that your mind is able to rationalize, and it helps you process tragic events. It
Yes.
helps you accept things that are difficult to accept, because if we always looked at everything terrible through that lens, we wouldn't be able to manage. So,
Correct.
I don't think laughing at these things means that you're not willing to take them seriously. And certainly, if I was hearing this story for the first time and somebody was doing this, I would do everything in my power in front of that person not to laugh.
I try not to laugh.
But,
And I appreciate you saying that, trying to save my YouTube career. I appreciate that.
nah, you're not going to get canceled. Listen, at the end of the day, I know this for a fact. I know every lawyer has dealt with clients who've said something fucked up in a weird way, and they've
So
wanted to
crazy.
laugh so bad. Because you're dealing with people in such extreme circumstances. There's got to be funny things, right? Like what
Yes.
you just told me is, I know it's a real story because nobody can make that up. It's so absurd. It's so absurd, it would be stupid to write it as a piece of fiction, right?
Absolutely. I'm telling you, this stuff happens every day, guys.
Yeah.
You guys will never hear about this stuff. But if you go to court, even if you just spend a week in court and listen to the cases in there, oh my God, it's crazy.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I'm going to ask you one last
That's
question.
awesome.
I mean,
No, just
listen, you know what's awesome? You know what's awesome is hearing about the behind the scenes. It's like,
Yes.
listen, women are obsessed with crime documentaries. Why? Because they think that shit's awesome and fascinating. They love hearing about how these serial murders cut up these women and put them in the trunk, and then these women go on Tinder and swipe for their next date, right? Like it's part of our existence.
Facts.
So yeah, people want to hear the behind the stories. They want to hear about stuff you've seen that are interesting. But here we go. Let me go with the last question I drummed up over here.
Yeah, what else we got on tap? Let's try to change this subject. Shout out
You
to all the
already-
people
you
in the
really
chat.
think you about to get you about to get canceled?
It's rough out here. It's rough out here
yes.
for a dude.
Yes. Okay. So here it is. You said you do door law earlier, which I kind of
Yeah.
wrote down. What is one of the wildest cases that you've taken in door law while you were in your early stages? What was maybe like a case that you took on that made you realize, okay, I'm a lawyer now?
Oh my God, there have been so many. There've been so many cases. I'll tell you about a case where okay, in law school, they don't really teach you about the law. This might surprise a lot of people. They really just teach you how to think about the law, how to spot issues, but it's not like they're really teaching you hardcore law that you're going to use on a daily basis. And they don't teach you, really, guys. If you hire a 24-year-old attorney, you've hired someone that is just not prepared, because there's so much that law school does not teach us. They don't teach us how clients lie to other people, how clients lie to us. They don't teach us how to get money, how to talk to clients when they owe us money. So many things about client relations, you got to find out on your own. And talking about the unjustness of this system, I represented a woman where she was owed almost exactly $99,000 in child support. And she had already gotten married. She had remarried to this other dude. And the other dude had millions, right? So she was set. So she didn't need the $99,000 that she was owed. Now, the $99,000 she was owed, it didn't just happen like that. This dude had been owing her for years, and she would take him to court, get him incarcerated, and once it was clear that he couldn't pay, he would be released. Once he's released, she would take him to court again, get him rearrested and reincarcerated, and then 3 months, 6 months, when it's clear he didn't have the money, get him released again. Well, the guy had moved to Atlanta, and here she comes. And she tells me, hey, this guy owes me $99,000. I said, listen, this is going to be an easy case. To be honest, if you owe anything over $5,000, $10,000, he'll probably be arrested. Is that okay with you? Or you? She's like, oh yeah. Right?
How did she say that? How did she say that?
Like, oh yeah. Arrested? Oh, okay. Yeah. We can do that. Right? I didn't know all of the backstory. I didn't know that she had taken this dude. She had this dude arrested, incarcerated so many times. So when we get in front of the judge, now she's kind of told me what the deal is. And the judge pulls up his history and sees how many times. And I cross-examine him, but there really wasn't anything to say. It was clear that he owed the money. And so the judge was like, listen, what do you guys want? And like, well, we want him to be incarcerated. And the judge looks at me and then looks at the guy, and it just says, listen, you owe her $99,000. Like, why haven't you paid? And the guy was like, well, I was in an accident. And the judge was like, well, okay, but your accident must have been a long time ago. You walked in here, you don't have a cane, you don't have a back brace, you're not in a wheelchair, you speak fine, like you can work. The guy opens his mouth and reaches his whole hand into his mouth and like pulls out his jaw and slams it on the witness chair. Everybody in the courtroom was like, oh my God. Oh my God. The judge, me, the bailiff, everybody.
Tell me he got released.
Wait, the best part, the wife, the ex-wife, the baby mama turns to me and you know what she said? She said, he's always doing that. I was like, God damn, you knew. Like apparently he would do this the judge, bless her heart, the judge is like, listen, I'm not even gonna, she did not arrest him. She ordered him to pay the 99 plus my fees, which really weren't even that much. They were like $5,000 or something like that. But she put my fees on the back of the 99. So she wasn't going to get the 99. So she certainly wasn't going to get my 5. But here's the point. She didn't care about the money. She was already married to a millionaire.
Mm-hmm.
She was using the court system to victimize this man because it came out he had cheated on her like 12 years ago. And even though her kid was well taken care of, living in this mansion, even though she was well taken care of, she didn't have to work, she was still mad about what he did those 12 years ago. And even though he had been in this accident, was never going to stop hunting this man. And what I learned as a new attorney is that I can be used by hunters. You see what I'm saying? Like when you go to law school, they're going to tell you about justice and they're going to tell you about fighting the good fight. They never tell you that you can be an instrument of oppression. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. They don't tell you a word about that in law school. And there are moments like that when you sit back and you're like, oh, okay, I see what's going on now, right? And after 20, you learn that there's no book will tell you this, that they're going to make you pay $400 for in law school.
And isn't it tough for you? Because at the end of the day, you're a professional. You still have a job to do.
Absolutely.
Right, because at the same time, divorce lawyers have the same thing. They have to represent murderers, thieves, rapists, child molesters. And by the letter of the law, they're supposed to do it to the best of their ability, technically speaking.
You're exactly right. It's there's a lot of growing that you do as a young attorney because they don't tell you so much. And there's growing that you do as an attorney when you look at marriages and relationships and divorce. I promise you guys, there's no one in this 8,000 person room chat. There's nobody who views marriage and divorces like me because I have seen a landscape that you guys are not privy to, and things are so crazy.
Yeah, that story was jaw dropping, man. Blew me away. All right.
Awesome.
I want to ask you, doing all these divorces and all these things like that, has this jaded you towards divorces in any type of way, or marriage in general?
No.
Ooh.
No. Let me tell you. I just got out of a relationship that lasted a while, and I got out of it maybe in June. That relationship was heading towards marriage. I am pro-marriage.
Okay.
I'm also pro-divorce.
Okay, I'm gonna have to say something. Just a quick little asterisk.
Okay.
Because this is gonna come up. And it's going to come at you. And I think you know where this is going.
I don't know where it's going to shock me.
You being pro-marriage, considering you're blind to work, some people may feel like you're just saying this to make money. So what do you say to people who feel like you're just trying to lead men by saying this? Go ahead.
Well, here's the thing. What I said was I'm pro-marriage and pro-divorce, right? So maybe I'm telling you to get married so I can divorce you, right? Listen, 8,000 people in this chat. I'm not going to meet any one of them. So no one's going to give me any money, right? I'm just telling you how I feel. What I really am, I'm pro-happiness. Pro-happiness. And I am convinced that there are women out there that will absolutely increase the happiness of a man. 100%. I think there are a few of them for each individual man. I don't think there are a ton. It's certainly not all women. The majority of you who get married, you're going to choose the wrong woman. Let's be honest. The wrong woman if you think that your marriage is a failure if it ends before death. Guys, let's be honest. This might even be a time to reconsider what a successful marriage is. What if you are married for 20 years, 18 of those years are fantastic, and the 2 are hell? The last 2 are hell and you get divorced. Was that a successful marriage? Let me tell you something, guys. I have seen so much BS. If you can lock in an 18-year block of your life and make that 18 years happy, to me, that's a happy marriage. Did it end in divorce? Yes. Were the 2 years bad? The last 2 years? Yes. I am not going to say that's a failed marriage. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it.
Well, hold up, but why would you say that considering the vows are till death do us part? Wouldn't you think the fact that you didn't meet the expectation that y'all set out initially as a failure? I'm just giving you pushback, but go for it.
I don't view the vows as vows. I view the vows as, to me, I'm a divorce attorney, right? So maybe you can say I'm biased. The vows to me are meaningless. They're meaningless. Why do I say that they're meaningless? Because in 20 years of doing divorces, when have I ever heard a judge bring up those damn vows? Never. I have never heard a judge, when he's taking your stuff away or when he's taking your kids away, saying you're being punished because of these vows. Vows never come up. If vows are so important, why don't you hear about them? Why do you only hear about them the 5 minutes that they're being spoken? You don't hear about them anytime else, right? Okay. I will never say that a man or a woman, anybody, should stay in a terrible relationship because of these vows. These vows to me it's like Shakespeare. It's like you go to a play and you talk Shakespeare and then you go home. That's what your wedding was. Your wedding was a Shakespeare play. And I know that because I have performed weddings. It's a play.
What do you mean you performed weddings?
I marry people. I'm a minister.
Okay. So you're doing the little dance too. You got the little legs going.
Right, I got it. Listen, I am there. Listen, I am a mediator, right? I will mediate your divorce case. I will marry you. I will divorce you. I got you covered from start to finish, guys. Start to finish. I know that your play, your wedding is. I don't listen. It's a beautiful thing. Going to the theater is a beautiful thing. It can give you happiness. Being surrounded by your family, being surrounded by your friends. Once you enter into this institution, it's absolutely beautiful. Does that mean you're locked in for life? Hell no. And I've seen it every day for 20 years. Those vows are meaningless.
Okay.
To a divorce attorney, they're going to be some religious, Mr. Lead Attorney, I'm a Christian, and those vows, my mother and father have been married for 40 years. Those vows mean something. Fine. Okay. They can mean something to you. He was asking me about my perspective as a 20 year divorce attorney. And I see what they mean, to be honest.
Okay. That was a beautiful answer. That was a beautiful answer. I think you kind of covered most of the basis over there. So, yeah, that was good. I'm going to go through a couple of super chats real quick, and then we'll go to our closing statements.
Yeah.
All right. So let's see where we were here. It's hard. There's been so many. Here we go. Queen K. Shout out to you for the $20 donation. Samantha Ciccone, thank you for the $5 dono. Tyson Jaleel, we appreciate you, sir. Cree Bree, if I said that right, I don't know. JP, the aspiring matriarch. Wow.
Shout out to JP. She's awesome.
The aspiring matriarch. That must be a woman, I'm assuming.
Yeah. Shout out to the lead curtain, too. I see him in here.
What woman would have the initials JP?
Jessica
Jean.
Jean? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I wonder.
Why does that seem weird, JP?
JP as initials for a woman, I'm just not unless it's like the first and last name, then I might be wrong. Beds by
That's
UBK.
what initials are, though.
817 busy. We appreciate it. Greg O is back again.
Shout out to Greg.
He said he bought Pond's ETF shares at the lead attorney. You know what those are?
I don't.
All right. Amoyole. Found out my son isn't mine. The ex-wife and I agreed to give up my legal rights, but the judge said we cannot bastardize because I'm on child support.
Facts. A lot of men try to do that. Doesn't work. Jessica Parker.
Damn, that's a rough one.
Yeah.
I am Jay. We appreciate you. Abba's my spirit animal. That's weird. Sir Chai, thank you for the dono. Son K. Rays, lead attorney, do you do mentorship? Do you have any thoughts on that, lead?
I do. I do consulting through my website. It's just theleadattorney.com. Most of it is marital and divorce related, of course. It's really the only thing that I know. But I did start a Patreon to talk to young men. It's really why I started my channel, to be honest. Shout out to all the women in the chat. You women don't need any help, to be honest. That doesn't mean that the life is fair and all great for you. But if you can take a random woman, get 3 random kids, sit them all on a dirty ass couch, take a photo, put that photo on GoFundMe and get $200,000, women are good in this society. Let a man do that. The man will be arrested. All right. Those were not even her kids. So I started my whole YouTube channel for men. And so I do some mentoring. I started the Patreon and I had both the mentoring side and the YouTube side, but everybody has flocked to the YouTube side. Everybody wants to be where Abba is and be a famous, great YouTuber. So I'm just, for anybody who has a YouTube channel that's less than like 5,000, then I've got some tips I can tell you. But if you've got 50,000 subscribers, I mean, we're in the same boat. I can't really tell you anything.
Yeah. I wanted to say, you know, people sometimes say like, lead, you seem kind of biased towards men suffering. But I think people don't recognize that, one, this man was involved in family law. And two, if you know anything about family law, if you've read up on any of the studies, this is factually correct. Family law is extremely biased against men. And so when he's saying these things, it's not from some random bias. It's acknowledging a real suffering that men have to go through when it comes to family law. And Lead, I wanted you to have a chance to say something on that point.
Yeah, I don't mind it. When people say I'm biased, I don't care. Listen, all I want to do is help these men. Now, I hope that I have a lot of women who follow my channel. Probably, honestly, it's probably like 50-50. Well, I got some fresh and fit guys, so those fresh and fit guys are hardcore, right? So they're mostly men. So I got a lot of new, so they've kind of skewed the balance. So maybe it's like 60-40 or something like that. I do try to call it fair. And I support men, but when men are slacking, I tell men that we're slacking. Yes. And I don't ever go out of my way to shit on women because I love guys. I just got out of a long-term relationship, right? And who knows, right? What the future holds, right? So I love women. Don't get me wrong. But when people say, "Oh, lead attorney, you're just biased," I just put that in the troll category, and I just keep moving. I have gotten so many emails, so many consults from men. I do these legal information consults. So I've got one coming up at 5:30. So many men are suffering in their marriages, and they want to know how to get out, if they even should get out, if they should stay. What do I think about it? I love helping men. I can't really help a woman. I don't understand how women think like that. I understand how a man thinks. So if you say, "Oh, you're a biased lead attorney," I don't even view that as a shot.
Yeah, I mean, again, like I said, the courts are biased. You know, if you ran a channel talking about pregnancies and abortions, you might talk a lot about women suffering. That wouldn't mean you're biased against men. It's just acknowledging that the fact that women, in regards to parental rights when it comes to abortion and things like that, in some places they suffer. And I don't think there's anything wrong with speaking to that suffering and try to empathize and understand and create strategies for those people. In the same token, family law, by every metric possible, fucks over men, and it's well documented. So even though there's people trying to change that, try to make that better, I'm not mad at anybody who wants to discuss those things. Again, just because you guys see a difference in attention does not mean that's born from some kind of discrimination. Sometimes certain groups just require more focus. So just keep that in mind when you guys are watching content. Now, go to a few more of these super chats. The Steel Curtain says, "I'm one of those men. I was divorced at 42, excelled ever since. My income has increased by 50%, and my investment portfolio has increased by over 1,000. I play Xbox, I travel, I live a peaceful life." I feel like he just heard your comment. He said, "I'm going to just write this in a comment for you."
Listen, no. Let me tell you something. The Steel Curtain is really, he's one of my biggest supporters.
Okay.
Like he made a consult with me. Like sometimes, and a few of you guys will do this. Y'all will make a consult, and I'm thinking you've got problems and stuff, and y'all like, "No, I just wanted to thank you for your content. I just wanted to tell you thank you and talk to you and just let you know, like you're doing what you like. Keep going, right?"
Yes.
And so I know him very well. He's one of my moderators, and he is excellent. I've been trying to get him to start a YouTube channel, but he won't do it because you know how toxic YouTube can be.
It can be,
people,
for sure.
Yeah, so a lot of people don't want to mess their stuff up, so they have to remain anonymous.
Yes.
But no, the Steel Curtain is absolutely doing. I've actually talked to him on the phone. He's an excellent brother.
Good.
But I do feel I understand how it looked based
No,
on our
I'm just playing. I'm just joking. No, listen. Most of the time, I'm just goofing around a little bit. Solo TV, we appreciate the donate. We got O'Shea Duke Jackson. He says, "My guy is blowing up. Thanks, Apple." And he donated PLN 100. Isn't that Polish money?
Yes, that's worth like $7,000.
Polish money?
That's a joke. let me do this though. Let me just take a second.
Wait. O'Shea Duke Jackson, if I remember correctly, ain't he the brother that's always supporting the black men?
Yes.
And he's living in the whitest country possible.
In medical school. Getting the bag. Yeah,
okay. Hey, get your bag, brother. Get your bag, brother. I was about to come for you a little bit, being like, "What happened to the brothers? You went to the whitest country where you're not around us?" What happened?
Listen, this brother holds it down. He's doing so much work for the black sector here and the Pan-African sector on YouTube, holding down the continent. This man, and let me just be honest, guys, and I told you guys I was about to quit YouTube, and he's the reason that I didn't.
Okay.
He gave me a collab.
Okay.
You know, it took me 8 to 9 months to get 1,000 subscribers. My channel was going nowhere. I was committing every error under the sun. It took me 9 months to get 1,000 subscribers. I did a collab with him. He had no reason to do it because he had 150,000 at the time. I got another 1,000 the next day.
Okay.
And then I got, he had me on again. I got 500. He had me on again. I got 700. This is actually the man who has really done the most for the black sector on YouTube. I know he's in Poland, right? So he's kind of far away, but really,
man, I'm not even mad at him because, Poland got some baddies, okay? Right? Listen, if you want to find the most robust white women in the world, you go to Poland, okay? You ain't never see white women make pierogies like you do in Poland. They don't play.
Robust.
All right? You talk about white women with cake?
Ooh, shout out to Solo TV. Shout out to Solo TV.
And you go there with your American money? Bro, you can drink for a whole day on $20. So shout out to O'Shea if you out there. All right, if you like them snow bunnies, it don't get any snowier than fucking Poland, my friend.
Well, apparently that's where I should go then. Apparently, that's what
they
they're
got
saying.
that. They got some booty out there. They got that struggle booty. All that war that they've been going through.
War.
Yeah, that adds to the glutes. They got that struggle booty. All right, so shout out to O'Shea. All right,
Shout out to
enjoying
Solo
himself
TV.
some Polish snow bunnies.
That is hilarious. Yeah, shout out to O'Shea, man. Booty clapping sounds, all right?
Hey, shout out.
Oh my
shout
God.
out.
He is the OG though. He's
I'm
done
for the
more
sisters, so unfortunately Poland's not for me. But you know what I mean? I support everybody in their endeavors. All right. So, Nosa Igibor, we appreciate the donation. We have Lauren Fields who says, hey, wait a minute, thinking that you might be talking about her, but he's not talking about you. Ahab SME Talks, thank you for the dono. Democratic Detox, Carubin, Ayo Aid, Armani, Black Silver, JP, the Aspiring Monarch, Woman First and Last. Shout out to Abba. Okay, there we go. She's back again. And Michelle Roman. And that is it for the donations. Lead, is there anything you'd like to say for your closing statements?
Yes, listen, thank you. I want to thank all of my people who showed up, man. Y'all are showing up strong in the chat, and I really, really appreciate it. Thank you for donating to ABBA. If you guys have been on my channel, y'all have seen how I struggle stream, right? Y'all have seen it. And so to be able to have this opportunity to talk to ABBA, someone who is on a level which really I really can't see my channel getting over 150,000. So I can't even imagine what it takes to get on a million type of level. So for him to be gracious enough to have me on, really just want to thank everybody. And you know, we're still growing. So thank you to all the new subscribers. Somebody said that I've got some new subscribers based on you, Abba. So let me thank you personally. Really appreciate it. And
well, you know what? I'm going to do an extra. So I'm going to probably cut up this stream into a bunch of individual videos, and then me and Preach will react to it. So we'll constantly funneling people over to you as they watch the content and hear the stories. So don't think it ends here. And look, I think you were fantastic tonight. You carried the stream. You had great stories, fantastic insight. And for my viewers, it was a great learning experience. So I look forward to blasting this out to even more people, because I think a lot of people could benefit from the knowledge you shared today. So for me, you know, it's my pleasure to help people who are doing good things, and you're doing something great for the community. So just keep going.
Man, I really appreciate that. And again, shout out to Preach, who couldn't be here, but he's going to be on my channel on Monday. Yep. And guys, if you want to learn how to start a YouTube channel like I did, we're gonna talk all about their YouTube journey. I've started a Patreon that's pretty much dedicated to smaller YouTubers. If you have under 5,000 subscribers and you want to know how to avoid all the traps that I fell into to kind of accelerate your learning, please go over there and check it out. And I really think that everyone who can should start a YouTube channel, especially if you are a man over 40 years old. You know, if you're a man over 40 years old, you're going to struggle a little bit with the technology, and I get it because I was there. But you have knowledge that you can absolutely pass down to the younger men. Younger men are making some basic ass mistakes, and you as an older man can really put them on game. So please think about starting a YouTube channel. It will be highly rewarding, not only for you, but for the young men that you can virtually mentor.
Perfect. All right. Well, listen, Lead, it was a pleasure having you, and I'm sure we'll do future collaborations. Guys, everybody, on Monday, Preach will be on the Lead Attorney's channel. So make sure you go subscribe there if you want to hear Preach chop it up with him about how to create a channel, talk about marriage, and a whole bunch of other slew of topics. I'm sure the discussion is going to go everywhere. So be sure to subscribe to his channel. And Lead, thanks for coming on.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it, Abba.
All right. Cheers. All right. So I'm going to kind of keep the stream going. Hey, stream, everyone's, how you guys doing? You guys all right? A couple closing notes I guess I could do since it's just us for now. Yeah, this is a good stream. This was a lot of fun for me. I got to chop it up, and I thought it was great information. I learned a lot. And I think you always want to have those opportunities to learn from people who have expertise in these fields. So definitely go check that stuff out. And I know I don't do these streams too often, but if you guys enjoy them, make sure you drop some likes. And yeah, hopefully in the future we'll get to do more stuff like this. Let me know what else you guys would like to learn from. If you like me doing these interviews and having fun with folks, then let me know what kind of interview is possible. And it's there for us, then I'll set it up. Otherwise, that is it for me, guys. You guys enjoy your rest of your weekend. Stay safe. And that's it. Deuces.